Exploding Heads Horror Movie Podcast, episode number 86. My name is Dave Z.
Hi, everybody. I'm Christian.
Hi, guys. I'm Brandon.
No, you're not. You are Grimsby.
I don't feel like Grimsby tonight.
Oh, no. We're
Tonight we've got Brandon.
Tonight you get Brandon. Sorry,
listeners.
Anyway, I'm drinking vodka, Absolute Dave, at your service. I'm going to talk all kinds of smack tonight, curse out half the world, and everything else, and then be real calm later. Maybe. So tonight, in the year of the patron, we continue. We're rocking and rolling. We have Matango, Cure, and Premonition.
Matango. Yeah, we got the tickets. Ooh, we got the tickets. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No,
someone's
don't
gotta
apologize.
sing beside me.
Didn't that just feel like Fandango?
Fandango.
Every time you say it, I thought I watch Mandingo, and my God.
Yes, Mandingo, indeed. Okay, and Triple R's Kevin Corpy has decided that he wanted us to watch Grave Encounters 1 and 2. So we did them on the same show, and, it makes a lot of sense. But that's what we're doing tonight. We're getting into some, very different movies when you talk about Grave Encounters and when you talk about some J-horror. But I'll tell you what, I think you guys are in for a good show. I'm feeling good, Absolute Dave. I'm not in a bad mood today. Everything's okay.
Caffeinated Christian.
Caffeinated Christian. Yeah, you're what's his name? You're freaking Crappuccino or Ice Cappuccino.
Crap.
What a fucking ass.
I didn't mean to.
I don't think. Yeah, that's what's even funnier is that you didn't mean to.
I didn't mean to because I was thinking of what's his name, Beavis Crappuccino. Do you remember that?
No. I vaguely remember. That was just funny.
Oh yeah, you remember when he turned into freaking Cornholio? He did that the one time.
No.
So I always call it Crappuccino out of habit. So it is what it is. And Grimm's, no, not even Grimsby, but Brandon's still in good spirits, so we're going to be happy.
No, I'm fine. I don't know why I said I'm not Grimsby tonight.
That's okay. You don't have to be anybody you don't want to be. You're fine, man. You're fine. I'm just happy you're not a He's not a heel. He's not a heel anymore. That was a short-lived gimmick. Although Halloween season is coming, he might shit talk about pumpkins again. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I saw that picture that was it Jason Smith posted of that house with all the pumpkins, and I was genuinely angry.
Angry? Wow.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Was it a Price? Jason Price? Or was it Smith? One of the two.
Was it Price?
I don't know.
Some Jason. Might have been Voorhees.
Was it Lloyd?
It was Lloyd Kaufman.
It was Lloyd Cockman.
Lloyd Cockman.
Who's Lloyd Cockman? Moots?
I think he was Lloyd Cockman for a little while.
It was Lloyd Cockman on a chat, yes.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Indeed. And I don't know anything about any of this stuff because I am no longer online. So, Bafangul. How's that? You want to talk to Dave Z? You listen to this show?
Is that your online name?
You message me. There you go. That's all I got to say. I pulled the plug on my online presence, and I've had enough. And I'll leave it at that. I will leave it at that. So, black ones, round ones, big ones, crazy ones. I got that damn song.
Talking about Mandingo again?
Is that Take the Pear?
Yes.
Take the pear.
Spill
Eat that fruit.
Yep. Patrons. If you weren't on, the thing is, we were talking about weird song lyrics before we got on the official show. So another reason to be a patron. We get that little bonus stuff. So, yeah, but whatever. Get on there. That's all I could say. Because there's going to be lots of bonuses going on. And I'll tell you what, we've been putting out a lot of those, what do you call it, lately, too? The codes, the redeemers, I call them. Bonus shows, too. And I almost did one last night. But
Digital codes.
Digital codes. Thank you, sir. So, yeah, I guess we do have to do business as usual. I'll tell you what. How many big shows do we have left? Next show we have Nightbreed and the Descent and Videodrome. 3 movies, all very different, and that's going to be interesting. And then Pigs and Hell Night for Triple R's. So yeah, after that, episode 88 is 1988, the year in horror. 10 Triple R's. Boom. Wow.
Wowzers.
Yep. I know. And then 89 is the Sadness trilogy, or I forgot what he called it, but I'll get a better.
Oh man, yeah. The Hunt,
The Hunt,
uh,
Dancer in
Dancer
the
in the
Dark.
Dark, and Dear Zachary.
Yep. Yep. And
Have
then
either of you seen Dear Zachary?
No, I remember you talking
No.
about it on your most disturbing.
Oh my God. Oh man.
I know.
Yep.
But we're gonna have fun.
Is that Zachary from Saved by the Bell?
Yeah, Zach Morris.
Okay.
Dear Zachary,
Yeah.
you're trash.
Yeah.
Zach
Love
Morris is
Screech.
trash.
Loves-
Love Screech. Nice. I'm surprised that they have not had a reunion show. You know,
Although
everything's
there's something
being
that's happened. It's Screech is in jail or something.
Is he really?
Didn't he make porn for a little while?
I think he might have done that too. Dustin Diamond, mate. Man.
Yeah.
Did he really make porn? People wanted to see him in porno.
Supposedly he's a
Could that
big
be a
dick.
really-
I don't know. So, I guess that's all that you
Wait.
need. A big dick
Is
and
he
an
a
afro.
director?
I think he has a big dong.
Yeah.
Really? Really?
Yeah.
Don't hold me to it. I don't know for sure.
Dustin Diamond is hung? Huh. Dustin Diamond, jail, net worth. Okay, let's see. Saved by the Bell. Let me see. What should I look up about Dustin Diamond
Porn
Dong.
images.
porn? Would you say
Images.
porn?
Porn images. Go right to
Oh, guess what, guys? Guess what? You guys were right. You were half right. In an interview with the Daily Beast, which is described as enthusiastic, overly defensive, and a little manic, Diamond revealed that he wanted to be a nice guy again and that his whole dick image was a persona he created to distance himself from Screech and also get roles on Dexter and Breaking Bad. Okay, hold on a minute. That's the beginning of it. Wait a minute. Okay, it was all a joke, just like his sex video, which Diamond made because, dude, there's gold in them dicks. Wait a minute. Hold on. Bottom line is, it was a fake dick using a stunt wang in porn. A fake dick. See, I knew that dude didn't have a big dick. I just knew it.
I have an Asian friend named Stunt Wang.
Oh man. So yeah, a fake dick, and I guess he's in jail, right? Or he did some jail
Is
time.
that fake jail?
Let's see, Dustin Diamond jail. Let's see, one more thing about him. Saved by the Bell, Dustin Diamond in jail, 2016. What did he do? Is he still there? That's the question. Wait a minute, that's a black guy. That's not Dustin Diamond.
Maybe
Jails
maybe
can
that
be
was
really
the
hard
stunt
on you.
dick. Maybe that was the stunt dick he used.
Well, it's weird because I'm saying,
He's a Mandingo.
they're showing all kinds of celebrity mugshots. Okay, all right, that wasn't him. Anyway, Dustin Diamond, best known for Screech, sentenced to 4 months in jail for stabbing a man during a Christmas Day 2014 altercation at a bar. He served 3 months of the sentence. Oh, big deal. So, whatever.
So no reunion?
Yeah, what's the deal? No reunion?
Yeah, no one wants to get stabbed, I guess.
Let's
Hey,
see what
Lisa, why have you been rejecting me for 30 years? And then he slits her throat.
Mario Lopez is too busy doing a crack in the floor part 2.
What?
That's one of the things that pisses me off about Amazon Prime sometimes. You'll look at a movie and they date it like as if it just came out. And one of these movies happens to be a slasher film called The Crack in the Floor, which, truth be told, is a crap in the floor. It's absolutely horrible. No redeeming values whatsoever. It's just not even a fun slasher because it's like practically goreless kills, nobody you care about, just brutal. No ending. But anyway, it came out like in 2001. My wife got it back when we first were dating, and she used to get all these screeners on video. And I remember she goes, "Oh, you love horror movies? Maybe you'll like this." And I watched it back in 2001. But on Prime, you put it on Prime, it says 2018, A Crack in the Floor.
Dude, it says that for some movies that are from the 60s. It said that for one movie. I saw this. I'm like, this looks familiar. It said 2019.
Psycho.
I looked up the film, and it was like a 60s horror film.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, they sometimes don't date them right.
Sometimes,
Wow.
evidently, yeah.
Apparently, that's crazy too. Maybe because it was the first time it's ever been available in the States. Kind of like our rules for
Yeah, so it counts for the
year-ends.
year-end show.
So
Well,
that
I had it on a physical video, like VHS, back in 2001. Now, yeah, I am in Canada, but I can't imagine.
I
Canada, land
was
of
a-
bagged milk and stunt dicks.
I didn't say Dustin Diamond was in Canada, you freak.
I don't know. I just felt like that should be their. I don't know. That should be on everyone's license plate in Canada.
But wait a minute. You said you had a screener. And
Yeah.
there you go. There's the answer. It only came out in Canada in 2001. Literally, that's what it says on the B. So
Does
for
it?
release dates. Yes. So it's never been released in the States until whatever, this year, last year. So
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
and Gary Busey's in it for
I
like
know.
30 seconds to a minute, plays a crazy guy.
Oh, really?
Plays himself.
Second billing.
Yeah.
Mario Lopez,
Yeah,
right.
he's
Gary
in it for like a
Busey.
minute, tops.
Wow.
I reviewed it back. You can see it on my IMDb. I reviewed it way back in the day. I did call it a crap on the floor, I think, in my review.
That's awesome.
It-
That's great.
it
David
was-
Naughton was in there. Wow.
It's just, I mean, it's on Prime. I mean, it's on Canadian Prime.
It's got a 3.2 rating on the B.
It
Less
sounds
than
awful.
1,000 people. Dude,
It sounds-
944 people have seen this movie, which was released in 2001. That just goes to show you it wasn't really, well, Canada doesn't count on the B.
When did you watch this?
2001.
Yeah.
Maybe even 2000.
Oh, I thought
Maybe
you just
2001.
recently saw it and watched it, and then
No,
figured
I
out-
noticed it was on Prime. I'm like, this piece of shit with Mario Lopez. Did they do a remake? And I went, no, I go, 2018? They got to be kidding me, these bastards.
You thought they did an updated version. You're like, hell yeah, I want to check this out.
Yeah. Well, I want to see if the movie was as bad as I remember it. I'm going to spoil this. A guy wakes up, kills some people that are camping in the woods, goes back to sleep.
Awesome.
Now, what made the crack in the floor?
Because that's where he slept. He slept like under the floor. Boards.
Wouldn't they notice a huge crack and see that he's in there? It's not very subtle.
I don't know.
What was it, like a trap door underneath, and you see the little crack?
You've watched the movie, I can tell.
No, like Evil Dead type thing.
No, do you think I can remember? He hid under the floorboards because he was probably abused as a kid. I don't remember the movie In and Out. I remember more. Everybody died, and I
Well,
again
in and
I
out, we're
remember
talking about
being.
Kevin Kline now.
The fuck are you talking about?
You said you don't remember the movie In and Out. Why did you bring up that movie? Now we're talking Tom Selleck and Kevin Kline. I mean,
Look at
you
this guy. Wow. This guy's spitting out freaking. Wow. You know that movie, huh? In and Out.
The guy that
Kevin
somehow
Kline.
disconnected his video camera. What do you do with this webcam?
I didn't disconnect it. I just didn't plug it in. I could put it on if I wanted to. I just don't feel like putting it on the camera. tonight.
If I wanted to. See, now you're insulting the patrons.
No, I don't look good tonight. I need a haircut. I need a shave.
Oh, you're
shave.
so vain.
I thought you got lasered everything off your body with like a lightsaber like eons ago.
I need a beard shave. I didn't get my beard removed.
Ooh, hey, get the beard on there, man. Some people like the beard. Every time I grow a beard, people like it.
Well, it's not a good beard.
No?
It's patchy.
Patchy? Little patchwork, huh? Okay.
like the
Well,
killer
Dustin
cracking the floor.
Diamond. Dustin Diamond, one more thing came up. You guys want to know his net worth?
I'm gonna say
That's gonna hurt me. I don't know if I want to know.
I'm gonna say $12 million.
I'm going to answer. See, you have an answer?
I'm gonna say he probably had money, but it sounds like he's been such a fuck up. I'm gonna say $35,000.
You're not far off. 50 G's. What? I've never seen it so low when I saw someone's net worth. And I didn't look it up. When you Google something, it just popped up. I typed in Dustin Diamond, and the third thing that popped up after Jail and Saved by the Bell was net worth. So I just was curious, and sure enough, 50,000. Man, there's hope for me yet. I'm not too far behind Dustin Diamond.
I was gonna say that's only 50,000 more than my net worth.
You guys are almost in Screechville.
Oh shit! Wow, he's still around. Well, let's see, Dustin. I don't know how we even came up. Maybe we should get him on the show, Dustin Diamond. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Okay, maybe we can talk him into doing a Saved by the Bell because honestly,
Yeah, we'll be the
everything
ones.
has,
Come
Huh?
on, Dustin, do a Saved by the Bell just for us.
everything's come back. Beverly Hills 90210 just had a reboot on whatever. I've been watching it, Hulu. Everything's coming back. You know what I mean? I saw a commercial yesterday, a trailer for the new Terminator, and it's gonna have Linda Hamilton and Arnold in it. And I told my wife, I go, this is what happened ever since Halloween. This is what everybody's doing. They're doing their own follow-ups to an original, and they're ignoring sequels and ignoring things and just coming back and doing it. It's what's in fashion now. So you would think that Saved by the Bell would 100% be doing something, don't you think?
Well,
It was a hit.
for everybody except for like Mario Lopez, who actually seems to have a career right now. I think if you're any of the other ones, like Mr. Balding, I think, yeah, you want the show to come back.
Yeah, Mr. Balding. Everybody wants to see Kelly Kapowski. Everybody, Tiffany Amber Thiessen. Everybody wants to see what's her name. You know, I want to see them all, to be honest. I think it'd be great.
You say Mr. Balding?
Isn't that his name?
Belding.
Mr. Belding.
Belding, Balding. You know me and names on this fucking show. Ringu.
Dennis
I thought you were
Hoskins.
making a joke.
Dennis Haskins is worth $300,000. How is he worth more than Screech?
6 times more than Screech.
6 times more. Mark Paul Gosselaar. He's probably in the millions. Yeah, $9 million. Tiffany Amber Thiessen. Let's see what she's worth. Well, this is
she
fun.
had Beverly
5.
Hills.
She was only. Oh no, has a net worth of 10.
Yeah, because she did in Beverly Hills, and she's on some show. My daughter, my son watches, and my one of my daughters. It's like one of those, not WB shows, but like Disney Junior shows or something like that. Daughter has cancer, has a good friend at school. It's a feel good show. Then she plays the mom on the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Lark Voorhees is 500,000, and that leaves one more person. What's her name? How could I forget her name? I loved her. Who am I missing? Elizabeth Berkley. There she is. Pops up. What's she worth? What do you think?
$20.
Come on. Take a guess. What do you think Elizabeth Berkley's net worth is?
Well, she did Showgirls, right? And
She did something.
so she
I'm
got.
gonna say 1.5 million.
I'll go for $3 million.
$6 million.
Wow.
Yeah, she was smart with her money somehow. Because what has she done since freaking that and Showgirls? You know? But yeah, somehow she's worth $6 million. Good on her. Good on her. She's all blonde now and
Good
looks
on
different. Looks like she's had some work done. Anyway, what are we doing? We're talking about Saved by the Bell? Let's talk about some horror, shall we? Holy cow, people might have been turning off.
We talked
right?
about a crack in the floor. Look at this. I got to read this. I found it. Horrible. My review from 2001.
Oh boy, this ought to be
May
fun.
17th, 2001. Spoilers ahead, if you could call them that. There's no reason to watch this worthless slasher. A killer with a twitchy eye awakes. Mario Lopez from Saved by the Bell leads a bunch of nobodies into the forest. They all die. Everybody. And rather bloodlessly at that. The twitchy-eyed killer goes back to sleep. The end. So many unintentionally laughable moments. No fun whatsoever. Gary Busey's role is stupid and about 1 minute long. Should be called a crap in the floor. I still got it.
Damn.
Younger
How
me.
about Mario? Mario Lopez, what's he worth? I forgot to
Well,
do
he's
that.
got a daytime show now. 10 million at least.
30 million.
16 million. 16. So,
30
not
million.
bad. But how about that? Only 7 million more than what's her name?
Oh, you got to pay off a
And-
lot of rape accusations.
And only 16 million more than Screech.
Right. Poor Screech. Fake dong. What was the name? What did they say?
Fake
Something about
dong.
dong?
Stunt dong.
Stunt dog.
Dunk? Oh,
Stunt.
stunt dong.
Fake
Stunt.
dong.
Okay.
Stunk dong. That's like something you get in the summer wearing very tight underwear. You get stunk dong.
Oh man, awesome. All right, let's move on. Let's do this show. What should we do? A couple of back and back grave encounters, or should we flop around like we usually do? What do you guys think?
Oh, you know me. I like to fucking make it all crazy. Let's just go. Let's start with one of the Derek movies. One of the features.
right. Let's do a Derek. Let's do a J horror.
Do it, Derek.
Can we get this fucking Mantango done with?
Yes, I was just gonna say that. Let's get it done with.
No,
Uh-oh.
it's not.
Too
It's
bad
not
the
so much
movie
of.
took so long to get done with,
Well,
or to get with it is more. Is more.
wait. Let's not get. Let B properly introduce it.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a fucking horrible. No,
Matango,
I'm joking.
directed by Ishiro Honda from 1963. Shipwrecked survivors slowly transform into mushrooms.
Slowly is
Yes.
right. Holy shit.
At a snail's
said-
fucking pace.
All right, let's.
Two movies popped into my head. Two things popped into my head. And I'm being serious here. Gilligan's Island and The Thing.
Okay, I
Oh.
could buy that.
Because the fucking, like, I was like shipwrecked, and then they did look like the skipper and fucking Gilligan at one point there. Get the two girls, one of them's a little quieter, one's a little bit more outgoing. And then the Thing, because of the isolation and how things kind of build, because that's really the movie. Because there's nothing about mushroom people. They allude to a couple of things, but nothing happens until the end.
But when you see them, they look great.
I agree. They do look great. They take so long to get there. And by the way, nobody watched this on Prime. If you go on Prime, it says Attack of the Mushroom People, and you watch it, and it's English dubbed, and just don't.
That's the one I saw. I saw the English dubbed one. Did you guys have subtitles?
Yeah.
I actually thought the dubbing, like for once, I mean, dubbing is never great, but I thought they did an okay job.
Really? Wasn't it done by like freaking, white Americans?
I don't know if they were white or not. I didn't check.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
They don't say dubbing by white Caucasian Americans. White and Caucasian
North Americans.
I like the set pieces.
I'll tell you what. The set pieces, some are okay. You know what? There's the director and the writer of this film is the guy who's responsible for Godzilla.
Yeah.
And he's a big shot. And John Carpenter has said that, the director of the seminal motion picture was Ishiro Honda, the creator of an astonishing output of science fiction and horror films from Toho Studios, and one of my personal cinematic gods.
Yeah, Derek shared that with me, and it's funny. He shared that with me after I thought of that, and I didn't even think of my connection to The Thing. When I was thinking of that, there's obviously some inspiration here because of that isolation and people feeling like they can't sort of trust one another, and it's there throughout the whole thing.
It is.
To me, it had an apocalyptic feel to it. It felt almost like a last man on earth type thing, like a small group of survivors. I love the atmosphere. Great use of fog.
Tons of fog in this movie.
I liked it though, but I love the looks of the ships on the island when that big ship they find, the big rotted ship.
That was cool.
Yeah. The framing, the cinematography, it's all good. It's just very slow, which is fine. But I mean, not a lot happens. So you just get a lot of dialogue, and it's a slow build. At some points, there's nothing. It feels like nothing's happening.
Well, I think it kind of fits well with Cure that we're going to do later, because it sort of shows how people can slowly kind of change character very quickly. Yeah. It's very much a character study, and the original story, I didn't get a chance to read it. Derek sent it to me because it's based on a short story. Supposedly that's really terrific, and the atmosphere is great in that. I really like the atmosphere in this one though. I can't complain about it. I had a tough time remembering which character was who, but that really wasn't so much important.
That's because you're a horrible racist. Yeah.
No, it really wasn't important. You knew that it was the professor who was narrating the whole story from the psych ward in Tokyo.
The professor, exactly.
Yeah, the professor, the skipper. Yeah, okay.
Attack of the Mushroom People edition. The effects were good. No, and Brandon, I'm an asshole because I cut you off there, but I can't disagree. Like it was good, but I just felt I hate use the word dull, but I'm like, please get on with it. There's some great stuff here, but I wanted it to get on with it. And then when they got on with it, that was the end. It was all at the end. And I still don't get the very end because I thought that was, explain it to me. There was not, and I don't want to jump, maybe I'll wait because I don't want to jump over it because you guys want to discuss things. But I feel like that was a tacked on kind of like, let's give them one more shock ending. But did either of you want to try the mushrooms? Because these mushrooms must have been the best things ever.
Wow. They were chrominis, I believe.
Well,
Matangos.
People can't stop eating them.
They actually were Matangos. I believe they taste like portobellos.
Oh man, I don't know what they taste like, but I know what they make you feel like too.
Did you know this film was banned in Japan?
What?
Yeah, it was released here in the U.S., but it was banned in Japan because the look of the mushroom people they felt was a representation of the way people looked as a result of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Sorry.
They're actually drawing direct comparisons. Again, another thing that I read that Derek kind of shared via Messenger was John Carpenter commenting on how that effect definitely plays into a lot of his films. Obviously, the Godzilla films and everything like that. And I didn't even think of the correlation. Again, call me slow, but now that we're talking about it, you're absolutely correct. I guess.
And we're less than 20 years after that event. I mean, this is 63, probably made in 62, so you're talking 18 years after that event. Not it's still pretty fresh.
Dave would have hated visiting that then, eh?
Well, I was
Now,
still
are you
focused
scared
on
of Pizza
eating
the Hut?
mushrooms.
Are you scared of Pizza the Hut?
No, it makes me hungry. So no, anything with pizza makes me hungry. So I'm not scared of him. No.
Would you take a bite of him and tell him he's delicious?
I don't know, the way he was dripping that way did look appetizing, didn't it?
The way he was, yeah.
Yeah, it did look at that Pizza Hut cheese.
Where the fuck did Pizza the Hut come from? Like that.
Because Pizza the Hut, he's like deformed.
Yeah, but it's like a wacky Spaceballs reference. Out of all the ones you could have pulled out from anything in the cinematic world, Pizza the Hut is what you came up with.
Well, here's what I thought of. I thought the mushroom people, they look good, because I like mushrooms. So I would take a bite of a mushroom person. So I thought of Pizza.
Bite out of them.
Like I would take a bite of the mushroom person, then a bite of the pizza. Mushroom pizza.
There you go, mushroom and pizza. Yeah, you hook it up. Yeah. I would have eaten the mushrooms for damn sure because obviously you're tripping out. I mean, they got, they're psilocybins. I mean, they're magic shrooms, but they turn you into a mushroom. But hey, I mean, the position they were in, what are you going to do? You're facing a situation where you're starving. So I don't know. But it honestly, all kidding aside and saying that it took a long time to get there, because it did. But if you think about it, it's a really cool idea and a damn scary premise. That
it is.
Eat something and you turn into a mushroom. Man.
And it plays a lot into the times in Japan also. So that's maybe some things that, when you read, it's like, okay, now I get it a little more, and it makes it, more relevant. The fact that, Japan was becoming more industrialized and the world was becoming, sort of like chaotic and inhuman. Because he even compares the inhumanity of Tokyo at the end to basically what they just went through on the island. So he kind of regrets even leaving the island, not only because he left, his girlfriend, but the woman he loves, but because he returned to a world that is no better than the island he was just on.
Well, I was just reading. I couldn't believe this. It was banned, so there's supposed to be 5 movies in total. This was the Attack of the Mushroom People, and then there's supposed to be another island, Attack of the Green Pepper People, then Attack of the Anchovy People, Attack of the Cheese People, and then Attack of the Sauce. It was a whole pizza motif, but because this got banned, they never was able to fulfill that whole vision.
Man, they're making me hungry.
What about the pepperoni people?
Yeah, he didn't want to do that. He was against pepperoni.
What about pepperoni?
Okay, you brought. Now I'm being an ass, and I love to make bad jokes during the show. If you didn't know that already, that ending, I thought that was a bit of a cop out though, because he turns to the camera for that big reveal, but he didn't eat a mushroom. There's a whole reason he left, right?
But they were exposed to the mold and the fungus throughout the whole thing. I mean, it was everywhere. So to think that they were completely safe from infection, that it just mattered that you ate it to turn would be ridiculous. I would think they all would have eventually turned anyway, just from being exposed to all that mushroom fungus and mold and rot everywhere.
No, I can buy it.
That's
But did he say he ate them? I thought in the dubbed version, I thought that's what exactly he said.
No, he didn't eat them.
I thought that was what he revealed, but
did he, Dave?
Well, what's his line now?
His line?
Yeah, when he turns to the camera, he says a line with that reveal, and then the movie ends.
I don't know. It was kind of inconsequential for me.
He said, "I am a mushroom ragu."
Because I ate those damn mushrooms, is what he said. Maybe I'm wrong, but that he had turned. So you're just thinking it was exposure of being on the island.
Yeah,
and so then the whole.
I was watching the sub version, and I honestly just don't remember a line where he mentioned that he ate them. I remember him reminiscing and talking about how he wish he had stayed with Akiko.
Yep, I remember that part. I do recall that.
And how he regretted being saved, but I don't think he ate.
I don't remember. Man, I wish I could remember that.
Yeah, there was a chance because the guy who stole the boat in the first place, who never made it, the boat washes back to the island, and the guy's missing. That guy did, steal all the food. Maybe he stole some mushrooms as well. Maybe there were mushrooms on the boat and the guy ate them before he got rescued. I don't know. I don't think that's really the point. I think it's, sort of like a commentary on the class system, because these are all wealthy people for the most part, and
they definitely were wealthy.
It's it's like that sense of entitlement, and they can't live in this world only to come back and realize that they've done to the regular world what's happening on this island. Not identical, not exactly, but figuratively destroyed it.
I think it's funny, as usual, when things get lost in translation. And the one part when they're arguing, and the one guy says, "Stop acting so big." He tells them a couple times. I love that line, big. And then the one guy says, "You'll spoil everything by fighting." I love it. Spoil everything. I love that about when things get lost in translation. That's one of my favorite things about foreign films and subtitles is that you get unintentional humor sometimes because of that. At least I do. I don't know. It's just
funny,
my humor.
but sometimes it could hurt the film.
Yes, it can. I know.
Big time.
I agree, but I mean, I guess you just got to make the most of it, because I'm not going to watch the dubs. I'm sorry, it's just not going to.
And I did, so maybe that was a mistake. I've got the end part here. It might take a little long, so I may edit this part down. But if you want to hear it, I'm just going to put it up to the mic. You tell me if you guys can hear it, okay?
Yeah, let's hear those white people. Go ahead.
Oh, we suffered with hunger, and then I lost her. I was confused. I couldn't decide what to do. And then I ate them.
I ate them. And he turns to the camera and it reveals that he's mushroom faced.
All right, then, according to that translation, the only thing I have is because he was found, it even says, he was rescued a few days later after being on the boat, is that he ate them on the boat from regret from not staying with her.
And you're right, because even just playing it back there and focusing on that there, you're probably right. Saying after all that, he didn't even stay with the one he loved and refused to eat them, only to fucking eat them out of desperation on the boat. Yeah. So that's even worse.
You know why he didn't eat
worse in a good way,
originally,
like
because he's not a fungi.
Yeah. Yeah. We knew that. We knew one of those jokes was coming.
Oh, fungi.
That's all right, son. You can eat them on the boat. As soon as he said on the boat, that's what I thought of. Oh God! Anyway. I'll tell you what. This movie, it just took. Okay, there was a scene, and I've been dying to ask you guys about this since I watched the movie. Now, you may just laugh at me. It might have been something where I drifted off, because I did drift off a couple times, but not drift off into sleep, drift off into thought because I got lost. No, I just got a little bored with some of it. That's what I drift. My mind drifts when I'm watching a movie and it goes into too much of a lull. I just start thinking about other things. It sucked, but it's true. But because it didn't have my full attention. It does happen. But there was a scene where you did see a mushroom person, and it was really cool looking, and then it faded out because you had those fade in, fade outs like you were watching a TV program, from the 60s. And you saw a mushroom guy, a guy that had all those things all over his face, or he was straight up looked like a shroom man. And then he opened the door and he looked in, and then it faded out.
Yeah.
And then there was no talk of him again.
Exactly.
Is this me or no?
That's what happened. It's like they're like, oh, and then fade out, and they don't acknowledge it.
Okay. So what the hell? Yes.
Brandon,
thank you.
I was hoping that you guys could.
That was the best looking mushroom man there was. That was really the one time you saw the close up of his face.
Yeah.
And I think it was just a mushroom man that came on board. And I mean, this person who saw it, I can't remember which character it was. I think it was just like the first sign of them starting to crack from the isolation and the wanting of, to get out of there and, get rescued. But
there was no acknowledgement of it. And so, Dave, I thought the exact same thing. And admittedly, our minds seem to work very similarly, because I'm drifting. I'm like trying to give the movie, because, we're watching this for a review and everything. And like I said, the movie looks good. Like I watched it, like I said, I maybe I didn't say it was on Daily Motion. And so there was a copy on Daily Motion, because I checked my Prime. It wasn't on Prime Canada. So I checked Matango, and I checked Attack of the Mushroom People, and nothing. So it was lovingly on there, and it was the dub version now. Looked great. Like Brandon said, beautiful fog, great cinematography, but it's very slow. And so my mind would wander as well, Dave. And that part does stick out, because I'm like, oh, here we go. And then nothing.
See, it felt fine to me, because the whole group was sort of disjointed even from the very beginning. It was very, like it was almost like they were paired off in groups of two, and nobody really trusted or liked each other.
Yeah,
No, and what was that
that's
woman
true.
like? The
I
woman
mean,
was like, she was all about like, all the women want me.
Who, mommy, mammy,
The
Mamie?
the hot one, the ginger of the group.
Yeah, she was like
yeah, Mammy.
yeah, a big like pop star or something, like
The
a singer.
movie star. I'm telling you.
She was a singer. She just used the owner of the boat just to get a free trip to Europe.
Yeah,
And
I know she was. Yeah,
yeah,
and everybody still wanted her.
yeah.
You know.
And she gets banished from the boat with the other guy after they shoot the guy.
Right. They were pulling guns on each other. Things got crazy. I'm like, man, these people are tripping out and they're freaking bugging and pulling guns on each other. And I was into it to a degree. I just thought it took longer than it should have, you know?
I mean, I can't disagree. That's my problem with the movie. There is nothing wrong with the film per se. Just for me, it was a little dull.
Yes, a little dull. I do like one thing. I like that little thing there, how they had no mirrors and the birds wouldn't fly over it and all that stuff. That's kind of cool. How
Yeah, some
nature.
real creepy things. The hallucinations were creepy, and also
Yes.
those laughing sounds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was really well
Trippy.
done. I get what you're saying. It does. There is something about the movie that does drag on because it's very slow. The colors are very like washed out, so it just has a very tiring, hypnotic look to it that almost like makes you too relaxed while watching it. So it kind of makes you tired watching it. I get that, but there's a lot of good stuff there.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I just wish maybe they cut. I don't know, because it was nice. The last like 20 minutes, I was into it. It was funny in the beginning. Obviously they're not really on water. It's a set piece, and they're sitting there in the boat, and they got like the freaking the film water in the background, and like they used to do back in the days. And all of a sudden they're playing Hawaiian music and stuff. These people from Japan. Oh, wasn't that great when they're singing those Hawaiian songs?
Yeah.
This girl from Japan. It
It turned into a musical. I was like, what am I watching?
The noise that they go doing over the Hawaiian noise. You know what I mean or no? You have to know.
You sound like a theremin.
It does sound like a theremin, but I don't think it is.
I don't think it is either, but you sound like one.
Oh, okay. Well,
I think Christian fell asleep.
Oh.
yeah, he probably did. It's like those Elvis songs when he sang those Hawaiian songs. You know what I'm talking about or no?
Mukalakaliki, come on, you wanna lay me?
Yes. Elvis Presley Hawaiian song. Man, what is that noise? Man, somebody must know. But obviously nobody's spoken up, so no. Damn it. Oh well. But there's that noise, and they even play it in that song. Mele himi himaha is the wise way. You know, and it goes brown. Yeah, there. Damn it. Well, whatever. I'm focused on that noise because I've always wondered what that was. You know,
In the descriptions I'm reading, it's not saying anything that he acknowledges that he ate the mushrooms, so that might just be a dub error. But
Interesting. Okay.
yeah, I don't know because I mean,
Maybe he's just made a sleep mask out of it.
maybe he made a mushroom tea. Maybe he made a mushroom tea.
Yeah.
yeah,
Maybe.
that's the way to do it. Mushroom tea or mushroom with peanut butter. Rock and roll. Absolutely. Ah, man, I'm tired of being sober. Well, I'm not really sober. I'm drinking vodka, but you know what I mean. I want some shrooms, damn it. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, I'm just being honest. I want some damn shroom. It's been years. Man, what else can we say here? Anything besides ratings?
Most of the actors from this movie are still alive, and they're all in their like their 80s, like their late 80s.
Nice.
So they all are. I find that odd. I always look up actors when I'm watching old movies, and usually a lot of them are dead. This is very weird. I guess the Japanese have really long lifespans.
Oh, maybe so. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely possible. I never really paid attention to that, but maybe you're onto something.
Yeah, they're all literally still alive.
Literally, not
Except
figuratively.
And even the ones that are dead, like the skipper died at 88.
Right.
The sailor's still alive. He's 87. The singer's like 82. The professor's like 82. The writer's 88. The owner of the boat died in 2017 at age 90. And Akiko. It doesn't say whether she's alive or dead.
All right. Well,
But that's crazy, right?
yes, that's something. Maybe there's some magic to this movie, not involving a mushroom, or maybe involving mushrooms. Who knows?
One of the actors in here, you click on the picture and it just shows a picture of Godzilla.
Really?
Yeah, one of the police personnel.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you click on his name and it shows Godzilla.
Wow. Some of them just look like Godzilla.
And it says he's still alive and he was born in August of 1912. What is going on?
Wow.
That means he's 107.
Could this be?
IMDb.
I don't know what you're so fixated on.
Dude, like that's crazy.
Okay.
No, like every movie we review that's, an American film or Canadian film, people die young, there's always some sort of tragedy. Here's like a cast where everyone's alive and old. It doesn't make sense.
I hear you. Wow. Maybe it's those shrooms. I don't know. That's freaking crazy, man.
Nah, it's got to be wrong. I just clicked on another actor and it said he was born in 1906 and he's still alive.
Yeah, I know.
That means he's 113.
I guess they just didn't care about Matango when it came to the actors.
There's something wrong. I feel like everybody's dead.
I just think it's funny that the guy looked like Godzilla.
It's literally a picture of Godzilla.
Some of them just look like Godzilla. Did you guys ever see that movie American Pimp?
Yeah.
Did you? And then when that one part when that guy says, some of these guys over here are killers. Some of them look like gorillas. And some of them just look like Godzilla, he said.
I mean, I don't remember that line, but it's a Hughes Brothers movie, right? Wasn't it their documentary that they did?
Yeah. Yep, American Pimp. Yeah, definitely check it out. It is a Hughes Brothers. You're right. Some of them just look like Some of them just look like Godzilla, and that's the way he says it. Oh, that's great. I just remember that line. Anyway, let's rate this friggin' movie. Is anybody? I want to know. B, how high are you coming in?
I'm not coming in super high, but I think there's a lot of positives in this film, and I enjoy it. I do think that the fact that it's slow, I would have liked a little bit more of the mushroom people, but I still think it's a solid 7 out of 10.
Oh, that's fine.
When I was rating it, I was going to say 6.5, but really my biggest fault is that it's just dull. Maybe that's me.
Yeah,
Obviously,
you're definitely dull.
Yeah.
I don't
that was awesome. That was fantastic. Derek obviously recommended it for a reason. I know he's a huge Godzilla fan, but obviously he's a fan of this film as well. And there's some good stuff here. It's just a little too slow for me.
So that's your rating? A little too slow for you?
6.5. Sorry, I'm sticking with it.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're sticking with it? Well, I'm at an even 6. That's as high as I can go. It was just too dull, and it did get good in the third act, but just looked like Godzilla, I don't know. But yeah, 6 out of 10. That's all I got. So, will the other movies be an improvement? That remains to be seen. But he's gay. No. But remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
He's gay. Oh, that was great.
But he's gay. I mean, he's
blind.
Yeah, blind.
Blind. Excuse me. What am I saying? Gay. Oh yeah. That is a great one. YouTube, check it out. Just type in "but he's gay," and you'll see the newscaster make a mistake. It's funny.
Man.
And a picture of Brandon.
Woo! Indeed. Okay. What are we gonna do? We're gonna get into this Grave Encounters joint.
Grave Encounters.
Grave.
Let's start with part 2.
Yeah. We could technically.
No, we can't technically because it completely. No, we can't because of that. Talk about. Well, we'll get to when we get to it.
Which is nice.
Okay. Grave Encounters from 2011, directed by the Vicious Brothers. They're so vicious. Okay. For their ghost hunting reality show, a production crew locks themselves inside an abandoned mental hospital that's supposedly haunted, and it might prove to be all too true.
Now, who has seen this before? Besides me.
This is the second or third time watching it because I think it was on your challenge for me.
It was on my challenge. I did put it on there, the first one. Yes, I
Here's
did.
something that I was going to mention about the the whole episode tonight is that I actually thought I had only seen, of the 5 films we're doing, one of them, Premonition. I didn't think I had seen any of the others. It turns out I have seen 4 of the 5 films.
Have you seen Cure yet?
Cure I saw. Matango was the only one I hadn't seen.
Okay, because I have a funny feeling about you and Cure, and when we get there, we'll get there. But anyway, sorry.
He's got the funny feeling. Great Encounters.
Grave Encounters, yes. Yes, indeed. Yes, this is on my challenge list, so obviously.
I challenge you to stay awake.
Really?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm a fan of
You're
Grave
a fan.
Encounters. Yes.
Nice.
I'm a big
Good.
fan. I don't think it breaks the mold, but I think what it does well, really well, in fact.
Absolutely. I like the fact that they go into this, they're put into a situation where it becomes, what's the word I'm looking for? The time paradox and things like that. And it doesn't matter what you're going to do. And it isn't a haunted asylum. I mean, it is, but it's not haunted in a way where there's ghosts flying around. I mean, to a degree there is. You know what I'm trying to get?
You want us to stay out of this argument you're having with yourself?
You know what I'm trying to say?
No.
It's like, no? Okay. When I think about, you've seen many movies that take place, especially found footage, that take place in a haunted asylum or this or that, and they go in there and it's run of the mill and whatever, and you might see something move around or a ghost. This goes beyond all that. This is like, the place is haunted, but it's haunted in a way that
it's messing with their minds and messing with their sense of reality. I know exactly what you're saying, because that's what I really like about this film too.
Right.
It's the fact that not only are they, I mean, they're not the most, they're not the greatest characters, but they're decent enough. You can't really do strong character arcs for found footage because you're filming within such a short period of time. So I think within the short period of time that we get to know them, we get a sense of who they are. They're basically skeptics at this point because they've been putting out so many shows where they've been creating their own illusions of ghosts, so they don't believe it. But what you're seeing here is when the shit really hits the fan is they do everything they can to get out, and it looks like they do, only to just be plunged further into the nightmare.
I like the self-referential part of it. Sorry. It does absolutely play with like dimensions, time and space. They're waiting for daylight and daylight's not coming. And then they go through doors and they end up in different hallways and everything else.
Walls at the end of the staircases.
It becomes a mind fuck. But it's so cool the setup. Even just go back to what I love. I love the self-referential part. I've been, shitting on people friending me that are paranormal activity people and investigators and stuff on Facebook because it drives me nuts. But this is what these guys do in this show, and I love how their show is called Grave Encounters, and we're watching like episode, whatever, is this episode 5? 6 that becomes the problem. And I like how the producer introduces it, and I like how we're just watching sort of like a cut version of that to show us what they experienced. I love all of that. I love the self-referential factor. I guess it's a very short version of what I'm trying to say.
And the producer, this heartfelt character who, plays a part, in both of them, how he says in this one that everything you're about to see is real.
Yeah, and then changes his tune.
Nothing's been doctored, and then it, we'll get to the second one. But yeah, the self-referential part is great. They're paying everyone off. He basically, tells the gardener, make something up, and they bring in their fake, psychic medium buddy.
Yeah, he's great.
The Houston Gray guy. Yeah, and it's exactly what you see on television. It really looks like this would be something you would turn on one of those ghost hunting channels.
Although there are loud noises, lots of bangs and door slams or whatever, this one's much more, I won't say subtle, but does it a lot less than the second one. The second one really, and nothing against the second one, because I'm a big fan of the second one as well. But I find that that the second one relies on loud noises for the scares more so.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
That's what sequels do, though. They always up, what started in the first movie. You know what I mean? That's just what sequels do. And we'll get to the second one, but the difference between the first and the second is one of the things they do in the second is the ghosts, if you will, actually do follow and chase, which you don't see a lot. A lot of times you see a movie like this one, and I'm not knocking it, but you see somebody, you see the reveal of something there that's not supposed to be there. It screams, it makes a face, it does a thing, people run away from it, and that's the end of it. You know what I mean? Which works just fine for this film and many others. Where in part two, it's interesting that they follow, they chase, and I don't know.
I'm not even against talking about them together, to be honest, because they kind of do complete one another as or complement one another as a more complete version of the film, if you will.
To a degree, yes, but it's a patron pick. If it was just us picking the movies for ourselves, I guess it would be different, but you know.
And this one is better in terms of the activity, the paranormal stuff building slowly from sort of like non-threatening stuff to all out nightmare. You're in hell. You're gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
And it does. I mean, it's literally just sounds and whispers and stuff like that and images, and then it just turns into arms coming out of the ceilings and then just chaos.
I enjoy both of the films. What I enjoy about this one, and a lot of my favorite type of found footage movies, which I didn't get to explain everything before we started talking about some other things, but in the future we're having a top 20 found footage list. We're each going to do our top 20s. It's been a while, but we're doing one. But a lot of the movies that I like, that you'll see landing in my top 20s, are for found footage, that is, are set up like, faux documentary, mockumentary, whatever you want to call it. And those, I don't know, I really enjoy that. And that's what this is right from jump. This is, it's set up like a genuine documentary, and it's done well that way. You 100% believe that this thing, Grave Encounters, which, by the way, this was before. I could be wrong, but maybe I am wrong completely. So if so, I'm sorry. But it seems like over the course of the last 4 or 5 years, you're seeing a lot of these shows with these ghost hunters. Again, once again, I could be wrong. I don't have cable, but in 2011 when they made this, and the guy said that he was ahead of his time, but he also said that the events of this were supposed to take place 10 years prior, or something like that. Is that what he said?
It was from 2003.
Okay, so this is 2011 when it was released. So, okay, still, so in 2003 it would have been way ahead of its time. But
yeah, you're right.
In 2011, I don't know. I don't know when those shows started really getting popular, but either way, I enjoy when it's set up this way. It looks like a legitimate show. Like when you see the opening credits, and it says episode 6, authentic looking. It's just like Grave Encounters. The way they introduce the participants of it and everything else. That looks like a show. That looks like something you'd see on freaking whatever. I don't know.
It does, and it stays that way because even as things become bad, they're still filming in a way that's not like typical of some found footage where they're shaking like crazy. They're not showing the camera. I hate that. It's like lazy excuse. Put the camera pointing at the floor and just hear screaming. Something like that. You actually get to see what's going on, which I like. The carving into Sasha's back, the hello.
Oh yeah.
The fact that they all wake up with the bracelets on.
That's brilliant.
It really is.
Yes.
The more we talk about it now, the more I'm liking. I really do like this film, and I don't know where I stand overall on found footage. I'm not a hater of found footage by any means, but I do feel that sometimes they suffer from doing the same thing over and over. But when it's done well, it's great, and this is a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
It's really well paced. You start to genuinely care about these characters. They don't seem ill-intentioned.
In a way, they know that they're doing a hoax type thing, but at the same time, they also have hope that there is something out there. Like, and there's not a time where somebody says, "Oh yeah, this is all bullshit. Ghosts don't really exist."
Exactly.
They all say we haven't seen anything yet, so they're not necessarily into the business just to freaking rip people off.
Exactly. They might be
Right.
skeptics now, but they started this out with a genuine intent to hunt ghosts. They've just reached a point where it's like, at least from Lance's perspective, is he's almost about, all right, you know what? Maybe there aren't ghosts, but I'm going to become a big star. And he does a great job. Like, that guy, he does a great job as the host.
Oh, absolutely. He's as genuine as can be.
Yeah.
Yes. He 100% seems legit as a host. They set it up well. How about when they interview and then one guy who's the caretaker and he's like, do I look at the camera or do I look at the host? You know what I mean? He's talking. That's like all legit. That's what I love about found footage is the human element that you don't always see in regular film. That's another thing I love about found footage is things like that because they come off as regular Joes. They act the way a regular Joe would act, but you buy it. It makes sense in these type of movies.
If done right, and this one does it
done
right.
right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's when they are done right. That's why, to me, it's such a treat. I'm like, yeah, okay. There are some pale comparisons. Of course, there's a million haunted asylum movies and, bullshit like that.
But this is, the blueprint for doing it right.
Yes, this is obviously influenced by Paranormal Activity in a couple ways.
Yeah.
I mean, Paranormal Activity, the more I think about it, its influence on these type of movies, it's probably like the second most influential movie ever as far as found footage is concerned.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're counting, when I think about found footage, I don't think about Cannibal Holocaust. I'm sorry. I know everyone likes to say what they like to say about it. When I think about the technique of found footage films, I just, for whatever reason, I don't go back to that. I go back to Blair Witch being the big one, and then I go to Paranormal Activity because those are the ones that set off the big. You see so many people try to do it, just like with slashers. You think about, there may have been other slasher movies before Black Christmas or between Black Christmas and Halloween and Friday the 13th in 80. But it's like those are the ones that when they hit, shit went down. You know what I mean? Everybody copied their formula. So, but Paranormal Activity, not to just sit here and talk about that one, but it's another movie that, this movie here, it would not have been made without Paranormal Activity. It's just, it can't be understated, that movie. Its influence is really, people don't really want to give it any credit, mostly because if they don't like Paranormal Activity, they're probably not going to like a movie like this. So this one does it well. I don't think it's an amazing film. I don't think it's like The Second Coming or anything, but it's a solid found footage film.
Yeah, for me, the one thing that kind of holds it back, and it does have some good ones in it, so I'm not going to say they're all bad or not as strong as they could be, are the kills. And I feel like that's something that can be maybe explored or done better in found footage films is the kills. Particularly, Houston's kill. It's just stuff that's been done before. The coolest kill for me was the cameraman TC with the bathtub.
Oh, it was great.
That was fantastic. That's something that's really cool. Talk about playing with space and dimension. Pulled into a bathtub full of blood and then he's just gone. Like, that shit's haunting. But like everything else is kind of.
It's funny that you
generic.
say that because I found that this did it better than a lot of the ones we see.
It did it well. It did it well. But,
1 and 2, both of these films.
Your book ended with the Houston character almost. It looks like he's being like strangled in midair. Then it looks like a bolt of like light hits him and he goes flying. And then book ended with Lance's supposed death at the end being dragged away, which is very cliche for the end of found footage type films or documentary style films like this.
Right. That started with Wreck. You're right about that.
Yeah. So that, but I love the way I like the fact that Matt commits suicide because, he's just been driven crazy, does a head dive into the elevator shaft.
That's great.
And what's her name? Also, even though you don't see anything, just Sasha, she's obviously sick and possessed and she's coughing up blood and then the fog rolls in and she just disappears. Like that's eerie.
That was great.
Yeah, that stuff is great. It's just like the two bookends of stuff like we see where the guy's hanging in midair by nothing, choking, and then, the guy being dragged away. It's like, get away from that. You don't need that.
Yeah, what about when the guy got pulled through the window? That was cool.
That was part 2.
Yeah, I was about to say that
Was
too.
that part 2?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But
Shit.
that is
And
good.
that
But
is
that is
great.
cool. That is
Because
cool.
I was going to bring that up, Dave, and I'm like, wait, no, that was part 2.
Okay, all right.
No, they start to blend. They do start to blend.
Especially when you watch them close together, especially.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn. I like how it's set up slowly, like you said, though, and you see she gets the worst of it, Sasha. She gets her hair pulled first, and
Oh
you know,
yeah. They're really tormenting her.
and then cut.
Yeah, and then she's like infected with something. She's infected with the evil, or the case
Yes.
of them bad legs.
And all the stuff with the the lobotomies. That dude, 140 lobotomies. And,
Yeah, Dr. Friedkin, the head of the asylum, was doing lobotomies on the patients, and then at the end, when he sees the ghost, it's almost like some sort of satanic and black magic rituals going on.
Cool stuff. And the hand through the door, that was a good shot. There was some good jump scares that worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
And like I said, it didn't rely on them. It didn't rely on the jump scares though, which is really really impressive for found footage, because to me the most effective shots were kind of the slow building ones. Just hearing Matt's voice and then not even be able to find him, even though you could hear him, and you could hear him like basically crying and screaming for help, her disappearing into the fog, stuff like that. It's just like that I find creepier than, a quick jump, from a hand popping out or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. I do like the fact that she yells at the point, and then she at that one point of the film, and she's like, "Why would we split up?" Because usually people just split up in horror movies, and it's like it's become a trope, and people criticize it. But she's like, "Why would we split up? That's just stupid." She says, "Granted, they still split up, but I mean, at the time, she says, yeah, that's stupid. Why split up?" I like that they call attention to that. It's another movie like Paranormal Activity where be careful what you invoke, because I mean, clearly. They're calling on this and that. Remember, Lance is saying, "Hey, we want to see more. We want this. We want that." I'm like, "Damn, dude." And I like that. I like movies like that where you don't really necessarily know if it's going to get as bad as it's going to get. If you don't play around with shit like that. You play around with shit like that, you don't know what's going to happen. And that's just, you let that into your life. Next thing you know, I love the fact that they're in there, though. I mean, they're waiting there for how many hours?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Like, that is so well done that they make it to 6 a.m. when the caretaker was going to be there. They open the exit door, but he's not there because they're in some sort of like alternate dimension or whatever it is. It's a nightmare, and it's just so much more haunting than, if the guy's outside and they're all dead, and then at 6 o'clock he opens the door, but the last death was at 5:59 or something.
Well, the funniest part is I brought that up earlier because that's what I thought. I like waited out, which they do. I, for whatever reason, thought I remember the caretaker opening the door in the morning and not seeing anybody, like at the end.
Oh, that would have been kind of cool.
And that actually would have been really cool.
And wondering what the fuck happened. The only really weird thing is the fact that if it is just a show and they weren't really thinking they're going to run into anybody, why would they actually be physically locked into the building?
For authenticity of the show.
True, but I guess it wouldn't have mattered one way or the other because it would have. But if they tried to get out at that point, they could have easily run into another hallway. The dimension shit could have started then and them getting all fucked up. But that was the only thing that was like a little bit more forced. But I could buy it because, again, for authenticity of the show is a perfect explanation.
Oh, you know what, though? Let me say something about that. Weren't they expecting it not to really be locked? Isn't there a comment made saying, "Oh, wow, he actually locked us in"? Wasn't there something said at one point?
You could be right. Actually, I'm not.
I don't remember that. I remember, TC's saying, because the crowbar, he makes a comment that, "Oh yeah, the crowbar's in the car, but it was your smart idea or whatever to lock us in."
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. For some reason, I'm thinking maybe that was the second one then. I don't know. That's possible, but either way, it's really an enjoyable film. And it's only the second time I've seen it. I mean, I put it on my list just after the one view, and I've wanted to see it for a long time. Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. It's well done.
And poor Lance, man, he really gets he gets screwed throughout, because at the end of this one, he thought he could go home after the doctor appears to have lobotomized him.
Right.
It's like I can finally go home.
Yeah, yeah, that was good. All that stuff was good stuff. Everything with them being messed with by the hospital is great. Like you said earlier, B, with the stairs that just lead to a freaking wall. That's crazy.
That's great.
Dude, going up a staircase and then it just leads to a wall. I'm like, are you shitting me? And then they go through the emergency exit. They see that thing that says exit, and they walk outside. It's into just some other corridor, and it goes nowhere. Like, oh, you got burned. That's if you think about that, that's horrific shit. To be involved in something like that where you can't get out. I mean, that's just damn.
Yeah.
That's awfully scary shit.
Yeah.
So.
It doesn't make any sense, and it's really pushed to the next level in part 2.
Yes, indeed. So I guess we can wrap this up. Do you have anything else? I think I've said all I can say about it. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, me too.
I'll tell you that. I'll just come out with it. It's for me. It's a 7.5 out of 10.
I'm at a 7.
I'm at an 8.
Wow, nice. Pretty cool. All right.
Looks like I'm the found footage fan now.
What's going on over here? I think you're the high rater for the show. I think you're gonna rate every movie the highest this episode.
Oh, we shall see.
Yeah, we shall see. It might be your gimmick this week. That's why you're not Grimsby or the heel. You're back to high rating Brandon. By the way, B, are you still on that mission to watch 500 movies or whatever the hell it is?
1,000.
1,000.
Whatever. Are you still going good?
Yes.
Still going strong.
I'm actually planning on finishing the challenge October 31st.
Holy shit! You got to do a bonus episode here. My God, you should just do a bonus episode on your own. Just film it on something and just put it on Patreon of just what you've been watching and giving it. Just giving it.
I could do that. I am currently at 848 movies watched for the year.
Oh wow! I haven't even hit 200.
That's fucking crazy.
Oh, I'm dying though. Like next year, I plan on watching like 3 movies.
You say that every year.
No, next year is the year of the TV show for me.
Dude, I watched Sopranos this year and Breaking Bad in their entirety. So.
Yeah, I plan on going back to just old shows and shows I've never seen. Even though I've been watching a lot of shows this year, I just plan on like next year being shows. Nice. I'll probably still watch a lot of movies though.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. Just you're not going to kill yourself.
I haven't even started on the 2019 horror films yet.
Oh, I'm starting now. I almost got the chance to watch one today, but I didn't. But from this day forward, and I'm not shitting, I'm on it. I'm cranking them out the next 3 months. I'm going to go mad with it.
Yeah, I plan on starting in October and banging it out till the end of the year.
Yep. We'll catch up. We will do it. We'll have a year-end show after all.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm doing it, because I'm like, right now I've only seen 15 films, and I probably only put like 4 or 5 of those in a top 19 list. So,
yep.
Got a lot more to go.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll have a year-end show. It probably won't be as in depth as they have been in the past, because we're probably not watching as much. But whatever, it is what it is. We'll have. Yeah, of course. That's the best show of the year. But anyway, let's talk about Grave Encounters 2. Rock and roll.
All right. Grave Encounters 2. This one's not directed by the Vicious Brothers. They wrote it, but different director, John Poliquin. A film student who is obsessed with the movie Great Encounters sets out with his best friends to visit the psychiatric hospital depicted in the original film.
I don't care if this seems more convoluted. It's a good compliment movie. I don't know if I like it more, but I like it just as much. I'll say that. I did say earlier that I feel it relies too much on the bang scares to scare you. But like Dave, you mentioned, that's what sequels do. They kind of just up that scare ante, and it might be a cheap way of doing it, but that's what this film does. I do like the setup with the student film. I like the new characters, and I like the mythology that they kind of dig into a little bit from the first movie and dig a little deeper into.
It's kind of silly. I'm not a huge lover of the characters, but I get why they had to set it up the way they did to get them to this location. And once they get there, that's when I really start to like it. The whole idea that this person, Death Awaits, sends the video, and they decipher that it's latitude and longitude, and it's cool. It's a little far out.
Yeah.
But for the end result, especially for that third act, I really, even though the first act is kind of silly, and I was even writing, man, there's a big drop off in this film. And then by the time it ended, I was like, wait, not so much.
I love and I know because you're right now. I love that self-referential shit. So
I
the
do
fact,
too.
So the fact that this one starts with the reviews of YouTubers talking about
Yes.
Grave Encounters, I love that. I lapped
Yeah,
it
that's
up.
fine. Yeah.
I lapped it
Yeah.
up, and I love how they work that mythology into the actual movie.
Yeah. No, that part I
smart.
liked. I just felt like the video part, the video and the latitude and longitude and figuring all this out. It just seemed and them going to see Lance's mother. It just seems all a little silly at times.
Silly, huh? Wow.
Silly. I don't know. Death Awaits. What was the name? Death Awaits 6 or whatever.
I don't know, but
Like
it's funny. It's funny that you said that about Death Awaits and latitude and longitude. But as I'm watching this, I watched it with my daughter, and I watched the first one with my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and immediately, when the email came from or the comment came from Death Awaits, immediately she knew what that meant. She said, "Oh, that was what was written on the door in the first movie." I was like, "Oh yeah, you're right." And then when they get the numbers and the coordinates, that's what she said. She goes, "Oh, those are going to be coordinates."
Wow. Really?
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, that's a weird phone number.
No, she knew it right away. She always does shit like that, and that's why I always tell her that if you freaking put yourself if you concentrate, you had the potential to be a much better freaking podcast host than your father ever was, because she just, I don't know, she just picks up on stuff
Yeah,
that way.
she's very observant. We didn't even bring up Death Awaits in the first one, even though that
I know, it was on the door.
That sign on the door obviously is pivotal now in this one in terms of that being the handle of the person who sends the video.
I thought it was clever though
it's clever. It just I guess because I'm watching it right after one, it just felt a little forced and silly. But as it gets going, I really like it. I like the fact that when they finally make it there, they find the half-eaten rat that Lance was eating at the end of and it all gets moving pretty quickly, and it's good. The only thing I didn't like, starting from the second act onward, was that the Ouija board table.
Let me say, that's when I rolled my eyes. That was the only time, because I loved the intro. I loved the intro.
Okay.
I love the self-referential stuff. I thought it was a smart way to handle a sequel instead of just having people go to the same asylum for whatever reason or do this or some bullshit. I love when a sequel investigates what happened in the first movie and it's a different cast of characters. I'm big on that. It reminds me a little bit of Blair Witch 2, except Blair Witch 2 wasn't necessarily found footage at all, actually.
Yeah.
But it had that intro when they talked about Blair Witch being a movie and let's see what's going on and how the producer flips and we get more on them. I thought that was so clever and so cool. But all that stuff, I was really into it. But when we first got there, and there was two things that was said. Well, no. First, the fact that they just found, for no reason, they find a freaking Ouija board there. I'm thinking, okay, that's eye rolling. I go, that's freaking typical and cliche. And I'm like, come on, why would that be in an asylum of all things? And then when it said film everything or finish the film, whatever, I was just like, okay, now they're trying to give some lame excuse why they have to film everything. But that's what I'm saying. Only for those 5 minutes, I fell out of the film. I'm like, this is going to be shitty. And I'd seen it once before, but I forgot. But I was just like watching. I was like,
Yeah, the film everything part didn't even need to be there. That whole scene could have been taken out because the fact that Lance has been stuck in this place for 9 years and he's, become an expert on this building and the way it works and the way it moves and what these ghosts want is they want an audience. So the fact he knows that they want the film to be finished and they want others to come.
Well, so, he knows.
Yeah,
he knows, but they didn't.
But him revealing that is better than even is better without having that foreshadowed scene earlier of film everything on a Ouija table. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying you don't even need that. Just let the reveal come from Lance, because at this point he's an expert. He survived in there for 9 years.
True, he's half out of his mind, but yeah.
That was great though, bringing him back.
Yes,
stuck in there.
great.
Like that was a great move because this is what I was saying earlier. They try to connect it to make it as continuous as a story as possible, with because it could have just been a standalone film. Oh, we heard of this place, we're going in, we're going to go see it again, and just a total repeat. I feel like they tried to blend these two stories together as best as they could.
Yeah, the strongest part of this film is the fact that Lance comes back. I mean, even though, Alex is our main character in this one, it's really, I think Lance is the standout performance in this, because he's the one who's aware of what's going on, and he sort of is playing to his own end game, only for it to get twisted on him. But it's really well done. I mean, the stuff with Alex being a filmmaker and, the girl he likes and who likes him is basically his star, his next scream queen, and all that, and how that plays out in the end is actually kind of cool and really creepy, and leads to an absolutely really shocking death for a found footage film.
That was great.
It's a fantastic kill. Like, it's not something I don't think I've ever seen in a found footage film, though.
They did that in Wreck, the first one. Yeah, somebody kills one of the demons that way.
Oh, okay.
In Wreck, but still,
it reminded me of Starry Eyes in the bedroom.
I can see
the dumbbell. That. It was just it was really brutal.
Yep.
And
but it also was impactful. There was meaning behind it. It was an emotional kill and a bit of a surprise. You know what I mean?
Yeah, big surprise.
Yeah, which added to it.
A big surprise, and also maybe something that people would criticize, because Alex didn't really show this sort of side of him. It almost felt like
the chips are down. What are you gonna do? It's survival of the fittest.
Yeah, but he almost gives a sense like he's almost gonna sacrifice himself for her.
Yeah, but I'm glad he did what he did instead. They didn't go that route. How many times have you seen that in a movie?
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying that maybe I don't think it unraveled enough for him in this one. I don't think he becomes as mad and as crazy as the others. He becomes a little bit more cliche of characters you see in found footage, where it's like, I'm not leaving without this equipment. This is $50,000. This is my film. Whereas most people be like, let's get the fuck out of here.
Well, yeah, but he had everything in there. He had everything in that film. Think about what he did. He's starting to make this other movie in the beginning, and then he ends up blowing it all off because he stumbles onto something which is much better. See, they're trying to make some regular movie, and then they find out I love that part when they're talking about filmmaking, and he's like, this is a better idea. He goes, actually, right now, he goes, we're in the second act, and he was right. They were in the second act in the film. It came to the point that, he was like, we have this. This is our setup. Now we got to go to forget about the movie that we're shooting on the weekend and the whatever. This is the story. I mean, someone reached out to me here. This is a big deal, and I want to get to the bottom. I'm the only one that can do it. So I don't know. I like all that. He was dedicated to getting this film out, and then it got to be so much more than that, because he had pride about getting the film out, and then he had a mission because of other forces that wanted the film to get out, much like Lance. Lance just wanted to get Grave Encounters out.
Yeah, but he even reached a point where it's like, all right, grab the cameras, let's get the hell out of here. Whereas Alex, it almost seemed had like a sense of calm to him, like almost like, yeah, I just want to stay and keep making the film, but I'm not presenting as somebody who's losing my mind.
He wasn't losing his mind. That's what I like about it.
But
to me, that seems more real.
I felt like he should have been a little unraveled as it built. I don't know. I mean,
a little unraveled I can give you, but I like the fact that it was an impulse action. Like when push came to shove, like he knew what was going to happen, and he saw that he had competition with Lance, and that Lance had the idea like, hey, I'm going to be the one person to get out, and only one can get out. And then I think when like I said, when push came to shove and that set in for Alex, he was just like, oh, well, I maybe not be happy about it, but this is what I got to do, and that's it. It's going to be me or you, bitch. You know what I mean? That's what it was. That's especially for a college kid. It is what it is.
Alex, bitch.
Alex Wright, by the way, who was a Das Wonder kid, who was a wrestler in the 90s. Alex Wright. So a little shout out to somebody out there that must know WCW wrestling.
Now, Dave, I know what part really scared you in this one.
The horse?
Yeah, the rocket
Yes.
horse.
Yes. See, isn't that creepy though? Could you imagine seeing that?
It's all caps in my notes. It says Dave Z rocking horse.
Damn straight. Yeah, rocking horse. I had to explain that to my daughter. I told her how I don't like rocking horses, or how that would be scary if you saw a rocking horse do that on its own. That is scary shit, dude. Don't you see how that works now?
Yeah. And the little girl, I mean, I don't mind it that they showed more of the ghost, but it was little Samara-esque.
And you know what? It's funny because my daughter said, she goes, that looks like Ringu when the girl was brushing her hair because that looks like the mirror.
Look at us.
Yeah.
Ringu.
Maybe I could be a good podcaster one day.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I doubt it too.
Yeah, I guess it was a little bit. I will give you that, but I like the fact, and I'll once again I'll have to give her props. She says that it's creepier when the ghost follows them as compared to the first movie. She put that idea in my head, and I said, you know what, you're right, because a lot of times they just open their mouth, they do that scream, and people run. In this case, the ghosts actually came after. They didn't just scream and were content with that. They're like, yeah, okay, now I'm coming to get you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like that, man.
I do like that, and I feel like it even kind of makes sense for this one, because in this one they're meeting up with Lance, who sort of knows the way to traverse this this asylum now. He knows the way, like jumping through walls and falling through ceilings. So it's almost like he's learned how to outsmart them, how outmaneuver them. So now they have to come after him to really intimidate them. Because in the first one, just creating a stopping point or an extra corridor was enough to create that element of a nightmare. Whereas here, you got to step it up. Okay, you might be able to get through the maze a little bit, but we're gonna chase you.
And what about the maze? What about that? Was the only thing I retained from the first time I saw the movie was this, and like again, I was watching it with Frankie, and it blew her away too. And I was just like, "Yep." And I told her, I go, "That was the only thing I remember from this movie." So I knew it was gonna be cool when you saw it, and she had the same reaction I did. That was so cool, and I don't even want to spoil it because I think it's so great. The elevator trick, the way that all plays out, is brilliant. I think.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
Oh man, I've never seen that in a movie before, where they go to that extent to show something, and it makes perfect sense for a movie like this. But it's just like, I'm like, wow, and those doors open, and you're like, holy shit. And this time I noticed something right before they got on the elevator, and they get in it. They look at a woman that's a cleaning lady, and the woman's just like frozen. She's just kind of staring at him. I'm like, that's kind of weird.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. But yeah, it's like it's paranormal horror mixed with psychological horror.
Yes,
it's crazy. You don't usually see it like this. It's it's a whole other level.
It really is, and man, good stuff. I gotta bring up Tessa. It was a good kill. Definitely a cool kill. I was kind of sad to see her go though, because
she was a hottie.
Boom! Wow, yeah, she was a rolling.
What exactly happened to her? Like, was her head crushed? Like,
yeah, she got freaking, yeah.
Like, I mean, the sound effects were cool and everything, and I just didn't know exactly what was going on.
Yeah. What do you think? C? What kind of kill would you call it?
Yeah, I think it was just a crushing.
Yeah, right? Crushing. Good stuff. You've been kind of quiet, see? What do you think?
Sorry.
I busted open a bottle of man.
No. I just at the end of the day, it's a found footage film. We're not talking about a lot of substance here. It's an effective movie for what it is, but there's not that much to dissect here.
No, not to dissect, but there's cool things that go on in here,
They give you a little bit more explanation, about Dr. Freakin trying to open the door between two worlds, which, kind of plays into the satanic rituals in the first one. So they connect them well. And the whole red door thing is cool.
Yep. And
stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, you're right. It's just one of the things I like that they do in both of them is when they I mean, and it makes sense because it's so psychologically tormenting for these characters that at some point they stop and they rest, and they always fall asleep for what seems like a much longer period of time than they wanted to. It almost seems like they've been out for like days or weeks when they wake up. I like
Well-
that disorienting feel of it.
Yeah, because you really don't know.
No, you don't.
No. I like that. I like when they play with time that way. The only time I've seen it done before is in the Blair Witch movies.
Yeah.
Actually, they do it there.
Because Lance thinks he's been there for 9 months at the end.
Yes, 9 months is actually 9 years.
Yeah,
something.
that's crazy.
Yes, that is crazy. Wow. Yes. Yeah, I liked that. And how about when Lance is going crazy and he's saying this, and that, and then all of a sudden he goes into Lance from the first movie and he's like, "Hello, this is Grave Encounters," and he goes into that spiel. That was freaking brilliant, man.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it. Just for like 30 seconds, he went into the character he was in the first movie.
Yeah.
And then he regressed back to that freaking, that guy that's half nuts or more
Well,
so.
even as he was going into it, he was doing it like he was half nuts. Like it was still like, I think he was like working. He's like, did he have to recite the line over and over and over again to try to get the introduction to sound perfect?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know, but I just thought it was cool how he went back into it. Yeah, I think maybe he did, actually, now that you mention it. Yeah, good stuff. Okay, well, I guess we can rate this one. Now, see, you said you thought that you liked it not more, but probably just as much.
Yeah, it's 7 out of 10. Like I have it on par with the other one. I thought they complement each other. Nothing offensive here. I got a little annoyed with the loud noises, as I said earlier, but an effective found footage movie and a good follow-up. In fact, I thought I liked the characters more than the first batch, to be honest. But the movies are on an equal level.
You know what? It's funny you should say that because that's how I rated it too. This one also gets a 7.5. Same deal.
Nice. Yeah, I'm right there with you. 7.5, slightly less than the first one, even though it almost becomes a little bit more of a more fun film than the first one towards the end, especially the way they conclude it and sort of leave you wanting a third one, which hopefully we get one day.
That'd be cool.
But it's solid. I think the characters, while you might like them more, is you get more setup with them because you see them in their actual like college environment at the dorms, and so you get more of a character arc built from the start. Whereas
the guy with those balls on his.
Yeah, and all his friends are there. It's like, no, everybody thought this was a good idea.
Oh, that was funny, man.
Yeah, so you get that, the sense that that this is a good group of friends, even though they're kind of being assholes to each other. But that's how you are at that age. Whereas in the first one, it just jumps right into we're here filming. So
Nice.
I can understand that.
Nice. Breaking news. We just got an email. How about that?
Breaking.
Live on the show, an email just popped in from Travis Boone. Hello, heads. I'm a new fan. Thanks to your insanely in-depth coverage of the Friday series, and I've moved on to your Nightmare coverage. I host my podcast through Fireside, and their plan works best for my budget and needs right now. But I was wondering how much you guys use in order to host such massive episodes. The podcast and y'all's chemistry is so on point, and y'all are some funny motherfuckers. You've got a new fan here, and I appreciate the hard work. Cheers. Travis Maxwell Boone from Louisiana. Nice.
Travis Maxwell Boone. That's a cool name.
That is a cool name. And the reality is that it's the plan that Jason's scored for Horophilia because, our shows are huge. So he's got some deal, and we all just chip in once a year. So I wish I could give you more details, but Jason Lloyd's the one that you're going to have to hit up for that info.
There you go. There's your answer, Travis.
The Horophilia Meister himself.
Yes,
Mr.
that
Bloody
was
Bits!
unprecedented.
Wait till Bloody Bits hits #1 to post the top 10.
Bloody Bits. Yeah.
I'm gonna take 6 years off from posting the top 10s. Okay, my show's #1.
Well, I was curious to see who would take it without us and 22 Shots being on there.
It was
curious.
cool. It was cool.
I was curious to see what was going to happen because I was saying, hey, you should do one because neither of us are there. I realized that neither show was there. What's going to happen? You know what I mean? And then
Wouldn't it be funny if we still made the top 10?
Like an old show.
Our absence was more enjoyable than Horror Mafia's actual recording. Speaking of which, Bill, I still owe you Last House on the Left. I'm sending it to you. Same with you, Carly. If either of you are listening, they're coming. I've just been lazy. I apologize. You guys won those
BC?
movies like 6 years ago.
There you
BC.
go. Love you both. Yeah,
Yeah.
BC. Absolutely.
I think it's BC.
Well, yeah, it's BC. It definitely is.
No, I think it's him that won.
Oh, well.
I know it's him.
Okay. All right. Just making sure you're okay over there. All right.
All right.
All right. This one is for a movie called Cure.
From 1997, written and directed by Kiyoshi Kurosawa, who not only wrote and directed the film, but also wrote the novel that it's based on.
And he directed Pulse, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
A frustrated detective deals with the case of several gruesome murders committed by people who have no recollection of what they've done.
I just want to say one thing before we start this. This movie, in my opinion, has Brandon written all over it. I think Brandon is going to adore this movie. We haven't talked one bit about it at all. I have no idea. But knowing him the way I do, this to me seems like a Brandon movie. So I wanted to put that out there. Let's see if my prediction's true. But Christian, what were you saying? Sorry.
I agree with that statement as well. I was just going to say that if there are people out there that could argue that I Saw the Devil is not a horror film, they will probably not think Cure is a horror film.
That's fair.
I'm of the opinion that it is. Again,
Right.
when there's a serial killer involved and the way, the gruesomeness of what is displayed here, I think all falls into the realm of horror very easily.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because this, I mean, not only is it gruesome, but it also starts to, with this film in particular, starts to deal with hypnosis and psychological stuff, and even referenced as hypnosis being called like what didn't they refer to it as almost like a witchcraft back in the day? So it becomes almost like a supernatural thing in a sense.
Oh, the performances here are great. This is when you know, I think we brought it up earlier in this show. I know we brought it up because I could be confusing this because I just finished editing the Ringu episode, that when it's in a foreign language, it's difficult to sometimes know if it's a good performance. I would say that this is a perfect example of a movie that's in another language that you're just like saying the performances are fantastic all around.
Yeah, I think sometimes it can be difficult, but yeah, it's usually these types of, Japanese or Korean thriller or horror films usually have strong performances, and this is no exception. I mean, our two leads here, what's the cop's name? Takabe. Man, I'm gonna butcher the name. What's the our killer? Mamiya?
Oh,
Yeah.
Mamiya?
I just remember it started with an M. You guys are always great with the names. I'm the
I
one
always
that
write
butchers
down.
them.
I always write down all the names, but yeah, and it's I try. This film is very confusing, but at the same time, I'm trying to look at it from a much simpler standpoint. What we got here is a serial killer that's using hypnosis to kill people.
To make other people kill people.
To make other people. Yeah, exactly.
To manipulate the situation.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry, I said that wrong.
But I love it. I loved the matter of factness of the beginning, and you're like, what the fuck's going on here? And how it took 3 killings before we kind of really figure out what's happening. I think by the second one you kind of get a better idea, of course, of what's going on. In my mind, whether sacrilegious or not, in my mind I'm like, this is such a great idea. I would love to remake this film. And we were about 45 minutes into it. I just loved the idea so much. And there's a part in the movie, and I know we're not. You did the setup with the thing, so I'm not going scene by scene here. We never really do. But there's a beautiful establishing shot of a house, and then this guy just goes barreling through the window.
Yeah,
It's such a great opening. Well, not opening scene, but I said, what if the movie opened with that or something? If you changed around the timeline a bit and opened with that, it'd be such a cool way to open the movie. Where the movie goes, it gets deeper and deeper. So just when you think, okay, it's about a serial killer using hypnosis to make other people kill people, that's like the beginning of it. And the relationship between him and that main detective is what sort of grows.
Yeah, and it's interesting that the killer here is, he's the least menacing killer you've ever seen, yet it's still a terrifying movie. And that's what's great about it. He's so unassuming. He's, he's skinny. He doesn't look threatening at all. In fact, everyone always just takes him in and wants to help him. At the same time, he's just brutal in his approach to hypnotizing people. He basically breaks down their will and their spirit by talking them to death with question after question after question and repetitiveness. It's like you start to, like, I was getting annoyed. It was ridiculous.
Well, he's so laid back. It's like he smoked a fat Johnny right before the movie, and just. But where I was going with it is, there's a part in the movie where he says the reality is, though, that these people can't do anything that they wouldn't want to do, because there's that one detective that he tries to hypnotize that ends up just committing suicide.
That's the psychiatrist.
The psychiatrist, sorry.
And he's the one who says that. He's the one who comes to the conclusion that you wouldn't commit murder under hypnosis if you wouldn't commit murder in real life, which, is an interesting statement that
all these people are doing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But at the same time, is our killer here just hypnotizing and stripping away to the part of everyone, the dark side of everyone that does have a desire to hurt someone else? Or is it that he's truly making innocent people kill? Because they all sort of admit after the fact, with the exception of maybe the first guy who jumps out the window talking about his wife. I don't remember what he said about her, but they all sort of admit that the other person that they killed annoyed them in some way.
That's true.
Wife.
Right. We all get annoyed with them, and we all get annoyed with people we know, even if we love them sometimes,
Yeah, that means we all, might on some subconscious level have, a kill fantasy in us.
Yeah, it's just weird, because I like the fact that he says, the one guy, when they're talking to him, he says, you know what? He goes, I remember how it happened. Yeah, I wasn't thinking of it like before, but I think he says it seemed like the natural thing to do at the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's great. The natural thing to do. I mean,
but it's also really, really interesting that the cop who's becoming emotionally unstable throughout the film, and everyone keeps hinting you don't look good, you need to take a break, is the one character who is not hypnotized, is not susceptible to his hypnosis, and that's why he becomes like a worthy adversary. It's like a showdown. Yeah,
that one scene is great when he goes in there and it's just the two of them. He starts talking about his wife, and then he makes it rain and burns out his candle, and they're having all that conversation, because it was right after the scene with his wife when he goes home and he thought that something happened to her, but in fact it didn't. That was kind of crazy,
So he obviously, I took it that he obviously got into his head, but maybe wasn't 100% successful, because that was bizarre.
It was bizarre, but I almost felt like it was more of just Takabe breaking down, because I mean, we don't really know what's going on at the beginning when they're talking about having a vacation, but we learn that his wife has some sort of like dementia or something, that she's clearly not well. You start to think like, oh, was she a victim of him, that she keeps getting lost? Is she hypnotized? Is she in a trance? But she's genuinely sick, and so dealing with that on top of the stress of looking for a serial killer, I think just drives him to a point of seeing things. And I think maybe that's kind of the point of the film. It's like, whether it's some serial killer using hypnosis or just the stress of everyday life, it's like that darkness is only like a thin layer of skin buried. It's right there. It's almost on the surface.
What's the story of Bluebeard? Other than using it as a plot device, as she's reading it to start the film, only to not remember the book whatsoever when she goes back to the doctor later, the wife, referencing here. But do you guys know the story of Bluebeard at all?
Didn't he kill his wives? He kept getting married and killing his wives, I believe.
I don't know. Pirates always bored me when I was a kid.
Yeah, I think the tale tells the story of a wealthy man in the habit of murdering his wives and the attempts of one wife to avoid the fate of her predecessors. And I feel like there's probably a lot more to get from the novel. And also, I always feel with foreign films there's a cultural thing that sometimes I don't get. So, I mean, I know certain people who love Asian cinema and do tons of research on it after, where, I would love to know more, but I'm not necessarily diving into research right after watching a film, even though I kind of want more explanation as to why. Like you said, why is she reading Bluebeard? What's the connection besides a man who keeps killing?
How many people have actually had the option or ability to write a novel and then be able to translate it themselves into a screenplay and then direct said screenplay? Like, other than Stephen King with Maximum Overdrive.
Shit.
I guess Clive Barker. Barker. There's got to be more that I'm just not thinking of, but like that took it from novel to script to screen. All joking aside, Stephen King with Maximum Overdrive, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on what you think of that movie. Clive Barker with Hellraiser as well as Nightbreed, and Lord of Illusions for that matter.
Yeah.
But there's got to be many more that are just not coming to mind right now. I don't know why.
Yeah,
it just is interesting to me because whoa, hello. What was that?
Oops.
That scared the shit out of me. But it's just
I wonder if it worked than anyone else.
You've created it from scratch, and you get to have total control of the story, visuals, and everything. Sorry, not to derail. That stuff is the shit.
I think you hypnotized me there. You got me all relaxed now.
Yeah, I am kind of relaxed. You're right. That was good. I like that scene with the when he's with that doctor. And see, that's another one, though. See, that's what's different. And that one, he actually kind of encourages her. And when else does he actually do that? When he says all that stuff about you just wanted to cut open a man, and he reads her mind, and he goes through that whole thing, and he goes, they said that you're just a woman, and then he pushes her head down and puts his hand on her head. And see, that's when you actually see his intent. Where before, he was just having these conversations with these people, and I don't know if he was playing dumb or he just was in that state of mind, and he was almost like being controlled by some other force that he was rubbing off on people. But in that particular scene, he took control.
Yeah, and I think he's always in control. I mean, and it's not until the cop really discovers it and discovers that he's has no memory issues whatsoever. Like, he remembers everything, especially when they're having the meeting in front of all the other cops, and the head of the police department's there, and they're all losing their shit, getting mad at his line of questioning. But right. he's got all perfect memories, but he's just using his different forms of hypnosis and suggestion to drive everyone nuts.
It's weird because when I'm watching it, it almost seems like, I don't know, it's believable that he's not trying to piss anybody off.
He's almost like a Hannibal Lecter in a way. He's like a Hannibal Lecter with that he's able to almost just talk you to kill someone.
Yeah, he gets in the head of everybody. Yeah. And talk about how gruesome that scene is where the camera goes into the washroom and we see her and she's literally pulling the face off her victim. Peeling the face back, and that's when she gets interrupted by the guy that walks into the stall, probably wondering, what the fuck am I looking at here?
Yeah, that was great.
How matter-of-factly the cop just pulls out his gun and shoots his coworker in the head. And it's like, like I'm taking out the groceries or bringing in the groceries and stuff like that. It's so matter-of-fact. That's what's scary about it. It's a first-time watch. I was really taken aback by it in a good way. Like, it really won me over. I thought this one had a fantastic pace.
Yeah.
That's good. Both times I watched it twice. Once obviously for the other was for Duncan's show, because this was a 90s movie and we were picking out movies for that particular year, which was 97. Yes, 97. And we all each brought movies to the table, and this was one that I was curious about. I knew we were eventually going to do it for this show. And there wasn't a whole hell of a lot of good things going on in 97, let me tell you. So I was just like, yeah, why not this movie? I think this is the kind of movie that people might want to see. And I'll be seeing it. And I watched it. And both times I watched it, there were moments in the movie where I drifted off. That's all there is to it.
You know what? And I don't... it's definitely a slow-paced film. It's on the longer side, so I understand it, because
it is
too much stuff that's intriguing about it that makes me like it. But yeah, definitely the pacing of it hurts it a little. I mean, it gets a little confusing. I understand the cop here. He discovers that that our killer is a psychology student and studied the works of this Mesmer guy, who was this original hypnotist. And they find a video of this Mesmer guy hypnotizing a woman in like the late 1800s, and she ended up killing her son. And, that's when it all, started, and he became basically a student of this and decided to carry on these types of these murders. So that makes sense. And it's the psychiatrist who reveals all this to the cop. And somewhere along the line, the psychiatrist has a meeting with the killer, wants to talk to him, and he somehow gets hypnotized.
Well,
but
Yeah.
Now, I don't mean to jump to the end, but I'm going to. Because that was the one thing I thought it was very kind of intriguing, and it leaves you kind of on when he's in the restaurant there. Are we supposed to get the idea that he's taking over? And the reason I say that is the waitress comes over, talks with him. He seems very happy because of what's transpired in the film and with his wife and everything like that. And she leaves, and the camera sort of stays stagnant on that. And we see her grab a knife, and she walks towards, and then the movie cuts to black and the credits roll.
Yeah, but with that scene, because I've been trying to interpret that kind of for a while now, there's nothing he does that suggests he had any sort of hypnotic control over her.
Because the exchange is very quick, but it's a parallel to that scene earlier in the film where he's there and he's eating dinner as well.
Yeah.
By himself. So I was wondering, truth be told, I didn't go back to compare the two scenes. But why is this woman suddenly just going off to essentially what we assume is stab a coworker? Or is she?
I think she is.
I think she is, and I think it's kind of, you could take it a few different ways. I kind of thought like, okay, did Mamiya have some sort of hypnotic control over more people that has spread now, like a virus? Are there other people out there that are doing what he's doing, or is it simply just a random woman who's had enough of taking shit from her manager and it's just about to snap, and it's just sort of like a parallel to him doing these hypnotic killings, whereas here's this woman who's perfectly fine, has all her faculties, and yet finally snaps and is willing to kill, even though on the surface she's a seemingly normal, good person. And is it just drawing parallels between the fact that, here we have a killer with the hypnosis versus somebody who's completely fine, and how close you can be to self-destructing?
Well, they have that final confrontation with the two of them. And
yeah,
right. I think that's leading to that. It's leading to something. Again, I drifted off and I was a bit confused. And he says, eventually everyone comes here, or what did he say? I knew you were going to come here. Something about him being there.
Yeah.
Right. And then you see the way it ends up at the end. So I don't know. I think Christian was onto something, but I got a little bit confused. I'm not going to. Again, I drifted, so that might have something to do with it. But
the thing that confused me was after he kills him, listening to that phonograph, I wanted to know who's that voice supposed to be saying that those words over and over. Is that supposed to be Mesmer? Is that, what's going on here? Is it supernatural? When he says to him, I knew eventually you'd make it here. Is he talking about the actual physical location of this building in the wilderness, or is he talking about the fact that here he is and he kills him? Because he shoots him, he overkills. He shoots him like 20 times, and it's even referenced that he's never killed anyone earlier in the film, the cop. And then here he is putting like 50 bullets into this guy. It's not even like one or two bullets and you're dead. It's overkill.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no answers. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed,
I looked up a lot. I really I couldn't really find much in terms of other people's theories about everything that's going on.
There's a sorry.
No, go ahead. What were you
I keep cutting you off.
I keep talking. Not too much.
That's good. That's a good thing. On YouTube, a guy does a nice little breakdown, but not to the extent of where I was going with trying to interpret the ending, like you were trying to interpret the ending. And he just does a comparison at the beginning, comparing it to Seven a little bit, and how David Fincher directs that movie in such a way that doesn't leave much, I don't want to say to the imagination, but it's the details are given to you, as opposed to how this director, or writer-director, allows the action to unfold in those long shots and long takes, and it has a totally different meaning and feeling to it based on the way that he presents it. Very interesting. It's about 20 minutes long, his breakdown, but I really wanted to look at something that talked about the ending. Like, is this a disease, that's transpired? Like, by him killing him at the end, did it transfer over? Something's happened because we've got that ending.
See, I think obviously the title is like ironic because whatever is happening at the end, I really feel that she's definitely going to kill, and that there is no cure for that because that's part of the human condition, whether it's a virus or not. I think normal human beings are just capable of it without even knowing it, even if they say they're not.
Yeah.
I think there's only so much a person can take, and I think that's why there's no cure, because we're all humans and we're all susceptible to being driven to a point where that feels like the natural thing to do.
Definitely.
I feel like I hypnotized you.
No.
There's a lot there. It's confusing. And at first, when I really I know you said that I was gonna love it, and I kind of do, but at the same time, I can't rate this movie as high as I probably would if I really understood it all. But just thinking about it, I do love films like that. But sometimes I need a little bit more. And then sometimes there's films that give me nothing, where it's like I don't like that. It's like you gotta give me something.
Right. I figured you were going to have some type of explanation or understand it much more fully than I did. And I did get it. I get the basic thing. I know what's obviously going on here. We discussed it. The guy shows up, people kill. He doesn't have to do whatever. It is what it is. It just what happens with the end of it, and there's no explanation as to why at any time, is there? And I don't need it. I'm not saying I need that.
No, I mean, he's just, a brilliant student who becomes enamored with the works of this great hypnotist who used his powers for evil, because you see it on the videotape of that woman. And so he became a killer in that sense. And it's about this detective, keeping his sanity in the midst of his life falling apart. His wife is dying painfully in a way because she's losing herself, and then it becomes sort of a cat and mouse game between the two of them, and eventually it leads to a conclusion. It's after that conclusion, the kill, which is great, and him reaching up and crossing the X in the air as he's dying. It's right after that, listening to the phonograph. What do those words mean? Is there any sort of meaning to whose voice that is? And then of course the final scene, like you guys said. Is there what's the deeper interpretation in there?
I think it's spread. Now he's the one doing it, but within that scene, we didn't see a lead up to that scene. Remember that we cut into that scene at the end.
Yeah.
So maybe it was just information we weren't presented, but based on everything that has preceded that, and the fact that he's killed Masaka, whatever the fucking guy's name is. Sorry, the psychology student that whatever.
Sakuma.
Everything that's happened, he's now there, and we see what the waitress is doing. Obviously, it's transferred over to him, and murder is, I guess, one's ability to cure themselves. They wouldn't do anything that they wouldn't have wanted to do subconsciously, so he's curing them and allowing them to do it.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, there's some pivotal scenes that make you question, because when the psychiatrist handcuffs himself and then tries to hang himself, he's still alive. So evidently he fell under the killer's spell, but he still had the wherewithal to not hurt someone else and try and kill himself. Now, did he handcuff himself because he felt like killing someone else and he just had a brief moment? Or was what he said earlier in the film true about people who have no intention of killing in real life would not kill under hypnosis? So was he right? And then the ending has nothing to do with any of this killing that's going on, and it's just, a random killing and just a social commentary thing. Like, killings are just going to continue to happen whether somebody makes them happen or not, because people are people. All right, I'm jumping down a rabbit hole that can just...
Yeah, and I don't have an answer to that, but...
Yeah.
Because there are weird things. Like, I mean, all of a sudden the hypnotist is loose, like he's free to go. We were just sort of given quick information that he was allowed to leave.
Yeah, and there are people dead. He kills like a cop or something. It's very quick. It's very random, very dreamlike. And there's also a scene towards the end. It's a real quick where the cop has an image of his wife dead in the institution.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's
right.
so quick, and I don't know. I don't know. It's I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but I'm intrigued enough to want to know.
Well, Dave, you seem like we didn't really help you out that much, but
sorry.
Do you like the film?
No, it isn't that you didn't help me out. Did I like the film? Yes. Again, there was some downtime, and both times I kind of drifted off when I was watching it. I did enjoy it. I just thought it could have been shorter. I liked the kills. I liked the story, the basics, what we see here. I just thought it went a little bit too long. I liked the conflict between the psychiatrist and the cop and how that ties in with everything and their different approach to the killer, if you will, whatever you want to call him, the mystery man. But no, I enjoyed it. I'm curious as to how high you guys are going to come in with it, because I know it's a well-made film. I know a lot of people love it. I wish it registered with me to the point maybe to the amount that it does with other people. Like for me, it's just like a 7 out of 10. I like it, but I'm not,
Yeah.
It's all for me.
And that's fair. And I'm at an 8. Like I really enjoyed it, but first time watch. And I'm left with a bunch of questions as well. And not in a bad way. Like I just feel like I do need to revisit this to get more from it.
Yeah, and that's how I feel. Like the hypnosis was compared to magic and alchemy, not witchcraft. So that's another thing that throw it in there. Is there something magical and supernatural taking place here, otherworldly? So there's a lot of questions here, like open for interpretation. But I'm right there with you, maybe a little bit higher. See, I think I can go 8.25. I feel like if I go 8.5 and then I watch it again, I'm just like not as into it. It's one of those films where it's like there's stuff that you want answered and either that needs to be answered, and either you want to hear and you want to learn about, or you don't. Because there's other films that are just like this where I feel like they're very ambiguous, where it's like, that's just annoying and I could care less, like even if someone wants to explain to me. Whereas here, I feel like there's enough there where you probably can figure it out, but
what's frustrating to me is I think of this, and I like I said, really enjoy it, and there's substance here.
Yeah,
there's things to dissect, and I rate the movie an 8 out of 10. Yet last year I gave Terrifier a 9 out of 10. And
you know what? But it's apples and oranges.
I know.
Terrifier. I mean,
doesn't present itself. Yeah.
I don't remember what I gave Terrifier, but if I was to rate it right now, I'd probably give it a 9.5, because it's just a fucking blast. I mean, it just is.
It's just interesting to me that happens. I mean, I know we all have our opinions, and some people would be like, "Oh, this movie's a dreadful bore," or we had someone just recently post a joke on our page saying, "I hear I'm missing a lot, but not watching foreign films." Well, there's a lot of hot chicks that I'm not going to get to fuck, and that hasn't changed anything. And then someone's like, yeah, but those chicks don't want to fuck you. Foreign films have nothing against you. It was kind of a funny little thing on our page. But
and I think sometimes when you watch films like that, you're going from an enjoyment factor where, like you said with this one, you recognize that there's substance there. We have to probably all agree on the fact that since this guy wrote the novel, wrote the screenplay, and wrote the movie, that he probably has an explanation for everything he did, and there is an answer to everything. So it's not just like lazy writing where it's like, oh, I left it all up to your imagination, where sometimes that gets to the point where that's kind of lazy and stupid. Finish your movie.
Of course.
Whereas here there's clearly substance behind every scene in the film. Just interpreting it is, it's harder than
Well, yeah, that's it. This is the stuff that Horror Quarter's made of. He has the answers to this.
Yeah.
So that makes it okay. There are a lot of movies out there that are very ambiguous. They pretend to know the answers, but they really don't know what they're trying to say. Totally enjoyable, worth checking out, and worth discussing.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it. It's an interesting film. It's kind of original. Well, we got one more to go, and then we'll be done. Let's get into that. This is a more recent J-horror film. and this is more my speed of film, actually. So in more ways than one. Speed as far as
1.5 speed.
it didn't have to do that. Speed as far as length is concerned, and speed as far as the type of film it is. Because like I've said before, when it comes to J horror, I do like all of it, but I find that I definitely prefer the supernatural type ghostlies or things like that more than the other stuff. So that will bring us to a movie called Premonition.
Oh, this guy directed Ringu Zero.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Now we're talking.
All right, you ready?
Uh-oh. Yeah, it's gonna happen again. Watch out.
All right. Premonition from 2004, directed by Norio Tsuruta. A man who discovers a newspaper that predicts his future. It features an obituary relevant to the death of his young daughter, and in fact, the girl dies shortly later. Years later after this event, he finds more papers with more deaths predicted.
I'm gonna get the papers. Get the papers.
The paper.
How about that? What's his name? Noriega? What's that
Yeah,
director?
Noriega. Norio Tsuruta. He did Ringu Zero.
Yeah, how about that? I bet we're the only podcast in history to do back-to-back shows featuring a movie by director Noriega.
Norio.
Sorry. Like Oreo with an N in front of it.
Norio
Right?
cookie.
Yeah, pretty much.
Premonition. What's going to score higher? Ring Zero or Premonition? Stay tuned.
Probably Premonition for me.
Well,
Well,
I can't remember your rate.
Well, as you said, though, this is probably more your speed. It was my speed, too. Although I didn't have a problem with Cure's pacing by any means, this was definitely the most fast-paced of the films we watched.
And it's
That's
20
for
minutes.
sure.
And it's like 20 minutes shorter, isn't it?
And that's on top of it. Correct. My kind of film for that reason, paced quickly. Like I said, it's a ghost thing going on here. Well, not a ghost, but it's, you know what I mean.
It's supernatural, but it's a really nice story.
I actually told my wife, I'd be like, okay, I got to finish off this movie, watch it, last film for the show. And when I'm done, she's like, how was it? I'm like, it was really, really good.
Yeah.
But it's not, I said that was more sad than horrific. I'm not saying it's not a horror film. There are horrific moments in this movie, for sure. But it was a sad film.
It is.
Yeah, but it's also a nice film about, being able to change fate and, have a shot at redemption.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked that quite a bit. And I thought the setup was great with the car and, how he would blame himself. Obviously, there's going to be a bit of spoiler here. I mean, there's a car accident within the first 5 minutes of the movie, and a young girl dies, and it's really well done. There's a bit of the CG there where the windshield
paper.
Of course the paper, but the windshield blows out, and it's really CG glass.
Yeah.
For a split second, but when that glass shard comes across her face and slices her, I thought that was great. But I'm jumping the gun.
Great.
I'm jumping the gun because we haven't even talked about the fact that he's going, and I never knew this existed. So I guess in Japan, you could have hooked up your laptop to a payphone and upload or download shit from the internet.
I don't know if that's true. I just figure it's movie shit. It's kind of like, when you watch. Well, think about the movies that you watch in the States. Even when Scream came out, remember when Scream came out and there's that scene when she's freaking calling the cops on their computer,
or cloning a cell phone. To this day, I don't know how to clone a cell phone.
Right? See, that's what I'm
Ask
saying.
the sheep.
Oh shit!
No, he said he had to charge his phone, right? Wasn't his?
No, he was up. He was actually up. He had to send that email. So
he had to send something. Okay.
He plugged into the phone, and that's what was sending. And he was like getting antsy because it was taking forever because it was like old school dial up. It's like
It was uploading.
yeah. And he was waiting there. I'm like, that's a thing. You actually could do that. I didn't actually think it was. I bought it hook, line, and sinker.
It might be a thing. Yeah. I don't know. Who knows if it's really
Google
true?
it, B.
Yeah, Google it.
Payphone internet in Japan.
I thought he was at first trying to charge it. Like
that's
he was
what
gonna
I thought.
die, but then maybe he was just trying to charge it.
That's what I thought he was doing. I thought he said, he needed to finish it, and they still had a few hours to drive, so they turned around to go back to the payphone. He was going to charge it. Then he finds the paper article, with the death of his daughter on it.
I think he was just charging, and he had to have it plugged in.
I'm positive. I'm positive he was actually sending a message.
Well, he was sending a message, but he needed power to do so. He was running out of power in the car, so he was using that as a power source.
Oh, okay.
That's what I got. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, buddy. Maybe you know.
At first when that accident happens, I thought that the driver of the truck was the same driver that hit Ben Tramer. Because there was absolutely no attempt to slow down whatsoever, but then they explained later that he probably had a seizure and died.
Right.
Which I liked. Not that he died.
Yeah, that was fine, because at first I wrote down that it was a hit and run, even though I'd seen it before. It's been a long time. I'm like, where the hell did the guy go? He just plowed through them and was gone.
There was a cop too. Oh, that's the greatest scene. I never realized it until we did that thing on Banana Laser, and Matt brought it up, and I laughed my ass off, because all the times I've seen that movie, I was just always looking at the other stuff. Just the fact that this was happening, and Loomis was going crazy, and Ben Tramer gets hit, and that whole thing, and it never occurred to me that was a cop. It just didn't register, but and how fast he was going for no reason.
And they're barely remorseful. Yeah. They're like, is that him? I can't tell.
I can't tell behind the milk and flesh.
Is it him or not?
Yeah.
I can't tell.
Yeah, we should do a show about top 20
Loomis moments.
Well, no, just funny moments in horror that are unintentionally funny.
That might rank.
That might be cool. Yeah, definitely would. It might be number one. I'll tell you right now. It Chapter 2, which I quite enjoyed, had a lot of unintentionally funny things going on in it. I just want to put that out there. I laugh at some things that other people probably aren't going to laugh at, but
I never find any of those. It's usually somebody posting something and reminding me that this is funny, like the Ben Tramer clip. But in the film Dead Kids with James Spader, there's a scene where he shoots a dog, and I die laughing every time, because he's like, let go of the dog. Then he fires the shotgun from 2 feet away, and you don't see it because it's behind a box, but it looks like the dog goes flying 50 yards back. And I don't know why.
Toxic Avenger style?
It just looks
right?
like it's that, and the scene at the end of Grizzly when the guy kills the bear. He shoots the bazooka from 15 feet away, and the bear explodes into a million pieces. That kind of shit just makes me laugh.
It's great.
I completely blew it. Well, I watched The Prophecy. That's what you said, right?
Oh,
Prophecy.
No, I was...
Grizzly. I'm sorry.
Grizzly. But Prophecy too. Prophecy also, with the kid with the sleeping bag.
Well, that's what I was waiting. Here's the thing. I watched Prophecy a couple years ago, and for the first time, pardon me, I watched Grizzly a couple years ago for the first time, and I was thinking that was the movie with the sleeping bag kill with the bear and the feathers and all that stuff that I've heard about and never seen it. So by the time it came to the end of that movie, and I hadn't seen that part yet, I was so waiting for that scene that I couldn't even appreciate the person taking out the bazooka and doing that. Because I'm thinking, where's the sleeping bag kill? I was waiting for this the whole movie.
The sleeping bag kill in Prophecy. I just saw Prophecy for the first time 2 weeks ago, and oh man, that is the best sleeping bag kill I've ever seen. Because that kid not only goes flying, he explodes when he hits the rock. And then
wait a second. Did this movie just get a blue release or something like that? Because everybody's talking about The Prophecy all of a sudden.
It just got announced that I think Scream Factory's putting it out. But
okay.
But I watched it on Prime. I'd always wanted to see it, and I never saw it. And now it's getting a lot of love because it's getting a Blu-ray.
Of course.
I'm gonna watch it. I am gonna watch it.
It's really fun. It's actually really fun. Grizzly's really fun. I don't know how we wound up here, but
but if you're gonna be a bear, be a grizzly. And that is from the Cannonball Run. We're all over the place. Let's go.
Holy shit! Back to Premonition. Holy smoke! Yeah. How did we get here? Indeed.
This is how our bonus reviews are going to be too. I think on the Patreon, because I just have a feeling that's what's going to happen. Anyway,
you know what the key to the success of this film is for me is the performances, especially by the husband and wife.
They are good.
I think they're terrific. I I mean, his remorse and everything, like it genuinely like got to me.
Oh,
Like
it's
his
fantastic.
guilt, yeah, it's like, I mean, because he's the one who wanted to turn the car around, so he truly blames himself.
Yep.
And then you learn, because there's a 3-year jump in time, and of course they're divorced, as tends to happen in a situation like this. But like over the period of time, he had tried to convince his ex-wife now at the time that about this newspaper thing, but nobody ever really believed him.
But she's secretly researching it,
yes.
Yeah, right. And then
Yes.
and then comes to believe him, obviously, as the story progresses. I love how they get back together, only for him to have to relive his worst horror. So at the end, when we're in that loopy area, is he supposed to be in hell or purgatory or whatever it is that makes him have to relive that? Like, that's the confusing part.
That's my problem with this movie. This movie turns into, and it's another good movie, but the last act, where it goes, it reminds me a little bit of Audition, where all of a sudden all this shit's just happening, and I enjoy it, and it looks good, and it's cool, but it's almost like the butterfly effect on Speed. I don't know. It's just...
Yeah, I think you just sort of have to accept that, why is he chosen to have these premonitions in the first place? He obviously does the research and discovers,
I don't care about that.
And discovers the other guy who has it, and
the other people, more than the guy, the kid, the 13-year-old that aged, that whole situation.
Oh yeah, the kid, yeah. But they obviously see that what the effect is of using this power.
One of the most horrific parts in the movie is him having to relive the accident from all the different scenarios. Like from him moving the wife, only for that not to turn out so good. From him being in the actual truck that hits the car. Beside the driver, you couldn't get, like, I thought that was great. And I agree, like, there's confusion there. But as B said, I kind of accepted it, and I was there for the ride. But that was the most confusing part. Sorry, I hit my mic there. That was the most confusing part. One of the things that I found interesting was the guy that started going all black.
Well, now, that's the thing. You almost like, you sort of like, I don't know if it's like a rotting or a fading away.
I took it as he was turning into the newsprint.
Ooh, wow.
That's very good. I like that.
At first, I was wondering what was going on, and then when he was looking at the newsprint, and because they had the blotches at first on the actual newspapers, there's like black blotches, and I thought, is that guy turning into newsprint, and then just sort of dissipating or fading away like the newspapers, the ghostly newspapers are?
I think you're right. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's a good observation, because now that you mention it, it did have that look to it. And
he faded away like yesterday's news.
Yeah, man. He definitely did. Wow. Hey, B, or I'm sorry. Hey, C, how long have you had the pop filter?
Oh, like the last 3 episodes, I think.
Okay, I think I'm just noticing it now for the first time. So the sock is retired. We didn't just discuss you retiring the sock filter? Really?
Hold on, I'm going to move this back.
He's wearing the sock filter.
Yeah. It's on my cock. It's our cock filter.
He was running out of money. Yeah. He was running out of money. He needed the sock.
I call it my lucky rubber.
He stole the pop filter.
Yeah.
Put on the sock.
No, I think I did mention it. I think I finally said this was the first episode I'm using my new pop filter. But if I didn't, this is the 3rd episode I'm using my new pop filter.
If you're looking for your other sock, check your TGIF 13 filter.
Yeah.
It's probably on there.
Oh man.
So that's cool. All over the place.
Yeah. You got a filter?
I got a filter. I finally spent the $13.
Yes.
If that. Yes. It might have even been less.
And I have an extra one too. I got it because I retired my old microphone and pop filter. But that's another story. We've been through this. But yeah, maybe you're right about that. I'll say this. To me, I had comparisons to Ring. The old couple getting back together and then going somewhere and doing research together involving videotapes when they get to the one place.
Oh, yeah, that was great. Well, that was him recording his...
Felt like Ring meets Final Destination.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Good. That's a good little mashup. Japanese ring.
That?
Well, Japanese ring meets Japanese Final Destination.
And how about that? Premonition. It was what Final Destination was going to be called when it was going to be an X-Files episode. That was the original title for Final Destination, Premonition.
Take that, listeners. Knowledge dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah. See?
Boom.
All over the place. Yeah, man.
You don't get that from what, Z?
What was the professor, that psychic medium, doing? Like, what was she? What were they taking Polaroids of?
The newspapers, I thought, before they disappeared, but I could be wrong. Are you talking? Wait, maybe I'm thinking of a different part.
No.
The research that the wife is doing.
That was irrelevant.
Yes.
No, but one of the pictures that develops, because she takes the Polaroid and the picture develops, is the picture of the husband.
Really?
Yeah. That's in the water later.
What water?
The water when he goes to that. Am I fucking up? Am I confusing the movies now? No, where he goes and he pulls the photograph out of the water. That big vat.
Well, he's talking about one thing. You're talking about another, I think.
But it's just, I thought it was the same picture. The picture that's in the water and he pulls it out and then someone comes up to him and then he puts it back down and interacts.
I'm so confused right now.
I'm talking about the pictures that they were taking of the psychic woman.
Yeah,
where
that's what I'm talking about.
The wife, or the ex-wife, if you will.
Yeah, the husband wasn't even a part of that.
No, but the thing is, I don't think she was doing that intentionally. They both worked at the same school, which was it a college or a high school? I want to say they said that they were professors, so it should be a college. But how come the students were dressed like high school students, like Japanese high school girls?
I think 3 years later, he's not working as a professor anymore. I think he's just working at some like high school, because you could see like he doesn't even have like the ambition to teach. He's just sitting there reading, and the students aren't even paying attention.
Not at all. Yeah, it's great.
That's a good point. Yeah, he had a fall from grace after everything.
Yeah.
Divorced.
Yeah,
he's no longer. They worked together though. That's what they said in the beginning, that they both worked.
They did at the beginning. I think they did both work together, but then we do a 3-year time jump.
Okay. So she remained at the university or whatever.
Yes, and she's doing some sort of paranormal research, and
I believe she's doing that because she has to do it.
See, I don't know. I feel like maybe she became infatuated by this because, especially over time, because, I mean, she's literally researching this idea that past and future events are recorded in one specific place, and about the newspaper of terror in particular. That's what it's called by this Kagati guy. That's
true, but she doesn't believe him. She doesn't believe her husband, though.
She didn't believe him at first, but we're talking 3 years later now. I mean, she even eventually apologizes to him and said, I wish I believed you. So I think, she was coming around and doing all this research and coming to a point of believing it. I mean, she got this far.
All right, I could buy that.
Yeah, there's a photo. I'm sorry, I'm trying to go back and watch the movie. And that woman comes back in the haunting scenes at the end and drops a photo into like a water bath thing. And he pulls it out and it's sort of him and he's looking at it. It's all in that. I thought I was going crazy. I thought I started mixing movies up.
No, this is like Audition. It just goes freaking batshit crazy in the third act for no reason.
No, and then he meets the guy that turns into newsprint. And then that's the guy that tells him he's got to relive he's in hell and pretty much has to relive his biggest horror again. But it's bringing in elements, I think, that we've seen from throughout the first part of the film, of course.
He's the guy behind the whole thing, behind the whole newspaper of terror, that Rigatti guy.
Yeah.
They discover, obviously,
right.
Dave mentioned the 13-year-old kid who, it would have been cool if they showed like a flashback of that kid, because they said he died, he bled to death while writing a prediction with his tongue, with the blood from his tongue.
After using shit.
Yeah, he used fucking shit too.
Well, when he's like crawling over to him as that like chained little monster thing, that was fucking creepy.
Mm-hmm.
That was definitely creepy.
Absolute Dave is chock full of problems, because I listened today to the last show while I was working. I'm bringing it up now because I'm over here going, because I can't say yes, I agree, because I got vodka in my mouth. So I noticed that I've had vodka in my mouth in some situations, and others I've had food in my mouth, because I can't drink vodka without freaking munching on food. I get the munchies from vodka. So people have mentioned they really enjoy Absolute Dave, but when I was listening to it, I was like, man, I don't know how I feel about this cat. I could tell he's eating sometimes. I could tell he's drinking sometimes. I may be bringing the professionalism of the show down.
Well, now you know how caffeinated Christian and Grimsby feel. I'm just kidding. I was thinking of a B word for Brandon, and it just Grimsby had to come out.
Anyway, I wanted to bring attention to that so people don't think I'm ignorant. I realize I'm doing this, so I think I'm going to be at a crossroads here, where Absolute Dave is going to continue or he's not. I mean,
No,
I'm
Pistachio Dave has been retired.
Right, yeah, that's all. Hey, when you guys bust my balls about it, that's all I need to know. That's all I need to hear. Everyone's their own worst critic, so I'm definitely ultra critical of myself. But if you two bust my balls about something, I'm like, okay, cut it out. Stop, don't eat pistachios again. So, and I have not. So
But they're
right
wonderful pistachios.
they are wonderful, wonderful. Yes. Now it's just Absolute, and tonight it's Gatorade. So old school. That's what I used to drink when I was like in 9th grade. Oh, isn't that crazy? 9th grade, and my daughter's in 8th now. Oh my God. Ooh, anyway, sorry.
That goes by so fast, man. He's getting all emotional here. See, this movie got to him. He's thinking of family. Would you do that? Would you try to relive the same thing over and over again to make yourself the victim?
Well, first of all, as soon as I saw that thing, I wouldn't stand there with my thumb up my ass. I would immediately yell out to my wife, "Get out of the car!"
It felt like, I think he was just, at that first thing was, he's like trying to put everything together, but you're like, do it. It was when they went back to revisit it the first time, I'm like, you're reliving it, buddy. You've got a second chance. Get a move on, for fuck's sake. He was dragging his feet a little bit. The first time, like when the first relive, and then that didn't work, and he had to do it again, and then again, and then again. But it's almost like the fruits of his labor. No one's going to appreciate it. He gets to appreciate it. They get to live life. He's dead, and he's the only one that knows that he sacrificed himself.
It's like the butterfly effect.
Well, that's the thing. That's the whole big twist with it, is he ultimately realizes that he has to trade places. Because he's trying to save all of them, and that's why it's all going wrong.
I always take the Eddie Murphy kind of approach at this. She was only, like 6 years old? They couldn't have been that attached to her. That was his rap on Poltergeist, if you remember that, like Delirious or whatever. Like, come on, like. So she's in the TV.
Yes.
Not too bad we can't say, honey.
Because that's when the wife gets hit, is when he grabs her and they both get out of the car. Yeah. So he realizes that somebody has to be involved in the accident. So he basically shields her. Which
is great, because you'll learn a little bit more each time. And it's upsetting, and it's like a bittersweet finale. Like I said, I finished the movie. I'm like, well, that movie had horrific parts to it, but I feel sad.
Yeah, it was sad. It definitely was. Well, it starts off sad, so you can't imagine that it's going to get better from then. So, you know what I mean? You're not going to bring the girl back. I mean, that's enough. You see that happen.
I would have liked a little more understanding of why certain individuals got these premonitions and some didn't. And well, I mean, most of the people didn't, but a few did. And also, one thing that confused me was the student of his that he tried to save, who got stabbed. She said that she said something to him like, "You got the newspaper, didn't you?" So how did she know about the newspaper? If she knew about the newspaper, wouldn't she have prevented her own death?
Yeah.
That was a little confusing to me.
True.
I did like that scene.
I do like that gimmick. Yes.
Yeah, that scene was great.
Stop it, and then she bled anyway.
Yeah. No, that was cool.
That was cool.
Yeah, and
then all of a sudden,
and it was just like a good way to reincorporate like the ongoing motif of that of people being stabbed. Like it's sort of been set up as there's like these random stabbings happening throughout the city, and that just happens to be one student. They don't really develop that story that well, to be honest.
Like the student?
Yeah, like she's just kind of staring up at the ceiling.
Yeah, you kind of feel like it's gonna be bigger, and it's sort of just like a 10-minute segment of the film, and then disappears.
Yeah, very much so. They could have spent a whole good chunk with that aspect of it.
Especially because she said something about the newspaper, so it seemed like she had even more knowledge than he did. So it felt like she was going to at least impart some sort of wisdom to him before she died, but she didn't. And, look, I admire him. He did a great thing saving his wife. But couldn't he have yelled out, "Don't get on the train," to everyone?
Yeah,
So this
I know.
way, maybe a few more people want to get on?
That's another thing. That's
he
another
runs
thing.
onto the train, grabs her, pulls her off. Everyone else is dead.
I do like how the friend was left on there, and like they're just crying. But you're right. He could have been like, "Don't get on it. No, don't." And like whatever. He doesn't do. He doesn't do a fucking thing. Like just kind of, "Where's my wife? Okay, get off there. Don't worry. Goodbye, folks." Toodaloo.
He's basically responsible for hundreds of deaths.
Yeah, and they don't ever. That's another thing. We got the premonition. We know that we see the newspaper heading premonition, but they actually don't talk about any aftermath of that, unless I'm mistaken.
Well, they're at her funeral.
Oh yeah, let me see her. Let me see her.
what's that
Why
all
the
about?
fuck would you let her see her? And then tell her, "Oh yeah, the train took off her face." And then see her later in the horrific visions
Oh yeah, that was creepy.
with no face. Good.
Yeah, it was
There's some
good.
good elements, but yeah, there's some awkwardness of the storytelling and things that could have been definitely expanded upon for sure. But
especially
Yes.
because he was writing so many predictions, and it didn't seem like he was doing much to try and prevent them. Even like the one couple who was like, I think the one family that was going to be killed in like a home invasion, he's like, "I'm going to call them and warn them."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's laying in bed with the wife. I'm like, you might want to get on that phone call, buddy.
Right.
but sweet sex.
But no, it would have been good if they showed more of like the one thing about the student being killed was that he actively tried to prevent it and he was just too late. And it would have been cool if it was like that with all of these, where he actively tried to prevent them, but he couldn't save everyone because he didn't realize he had to sacrifice himself in exchange. But that kind of got messed up because he did save the wife.
It's an
feels like-
incomplete.
Or it feels like it could have been cleaned up.
There's a few, questionable things in there, but it's still, I still really enjoy the film.
Yeah.
I liked it. It could have been great though. It to me it ends up being like an incomplete. It's like they have so many great ideas. They execute on some of the things, but they don't follow it up the way they should in many instances. And I wish they did, because this could have been a great movie. To me, it's not a great movie. It's a good movie.
It's a good movie. Yeah, I agree.
But man, I want it to be great, because they have all these great jumping off points, and then they drop the ball.
A good
It's
movie with great
unfortunate.
performances. But you're right. There could have been so much more great to the film.
Yeah,
For sure.
This
I
is
totally
prime
agree.
for a remake. This should be. Now, I don't always say it. Even the Americans, I don't care who does it, but this movie could be remade and explained better. You know
I think
what I
the
mean?
Puerto Ricans should remake this. Just cause.
Puerto Rican horror. Yeah. Why not? Why not Puerto Rican horror?
Can they pull the child out of a lowrider quick enough? Those Puerto Rican, is that Mexican?
It's
Of
funny
course.
either
I'm not
way.
saying anything.
It
Jerry
goes
Cortez
either
is
way.
gonna get mad no matter what I say.
Yeah, Jerry, that was Brandon.
Yes, it wasn't me this time. I won't even crack a joke about it.
Why? What
I've
happened?
learned not to
He
crack
said-
jokes about certain things.
He made a joke on Wat Z about being that Spanish and Mexican, it's all the same.
Right.
And Jerry Cortez took major offense to it.
Oh, he didn't take major offense. He just
I think he
cracked.
did.
All right, Jerry, get a sense of humor.
I didn't mean to.
Lighten up a little bit.
He is right though. It is all in jest. I mean, I could joke about Italians the same way and say
Oh, you think you
Whatever.
said that? I think you did make a joke about that, but
I do it all the time. I can joke about Canadians, Italians. What was I gonna say? Oh man,
you're
I
gonna
had
make a
some-
Jewish joke now. I think that's what.
I was gonna make a
Insert
Jewish
Jewish
Oh,
joke,
that's
yeah.
what it was. I was thinking about it today when I was on the road. Okay, yes. How is Dustin Diamond only worth $50,000? Brandon, aren't Jews supposed to be good with money?
Not me. I'm worth 50,000 less than that.
Yeah, but you weren't on Saved by the fucking Bell.
So anyway, the bottom line is we can joke about anything. And Jerry, I didn't mean anything.
And I didn't say that I don't know the difference between Puerto Ricans and Mexicans. I just didn't know
That's
which
how we
ethnic
took
group.
it,
turns their cars into lowriders.
And why would they only have one?
Everybody's backpedaling. Oh.
Well, sure. After the recent events, you got to back. My whole life is a backpedal. I backpedaled right out of social media. That's how far back I pedaled.
I'm not coming back for the next episode now.
Oh boy. One day we're gonna have a show. It's gonna be just patrons, and we're just gonna come on, and we're just gonna say whatever the fuck we want, and get drunk, and just say whatever we want about everything, and bust each other's balls and bust everybody's balls, like a South Park episode, but exploding head style.
I thought that's what we did every show.
Well, to a degree, except we've kind of stepped back because everyone gets offended. Yeah. You know, we don't want to offend anybody. Shit, especially friends. We don't want to offend friends. We don't want to have friends. We want to have friends. That was a bad joke.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know. Absolute Dave doesn't nail them all. Sorry.
I feel like that was a deja vu joke. Have you cracked that on the show before?
Friends? I don't think so. I don't think I've ever said that.
Listeners, let us know.
I hope not. God, if it's that bad, why would I say it twice?
And if I had a deja vu moment, what does that say about me?
Buddy, I don't know. I'm losing my mind more every day. I'm turning dyslexic as the days go by. How about that? I'm 47 years old. I'm all of a sudden I'm dyslexic. Never had a problem all my life.
You go ass to mouth too? Everything's backwards.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Anyway, wow. Anyway. Premonition. Yeah.
Premonition.
Good movie. 7 out of 10. Could have been great, but it's a good movie.
Amen. 7 out of 10. I'm right with you, buddy. Yes. Yep.
I'm still trying to think about that water thing.
I don't remember that water thing.
I don't either.
I've already passed it by.
I remember
it's water under the bridge.
Was there a bridge?
That was better. Come on.
You know what? Wasn't the water scene in Ringu Zero?
No, because I just put Premonition back on while we were talking.
You have the right director.
No, I was watching it while we were talking right here and saw everything I was talking about play out again.
All right. Maybe I'm a little confused. I'm coming in a little bit higher. 7.75. Right on the cusp of that 8, but you talked me down a little bit. But I really enjoy these two lead characters. I enjoyed their character arcs, their interactions throughout the whole film, and ultimately the payoff is, like you said, it's sad, but I find it ultimately, satisfying and happy, and he's more at peace in death than he ever would be if he wasn't living a life knowing, feeling responsible for what happened. I mean, he was responsible.
No, you're right. And there is satisfaction there. I just find it, just bittersweet.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep. I'm with you. It is bittersweet. Yes.
It would have been funny if the newspaper that was flying at the end, it showed the death of the wife and the daughter the next day. All this for an extra 24 hours?
That would have been cool, actually. Maybe in the remake.
Yeah.
The Sandra Bullock film wasn't a remake of this?
Yeah. Dude, I didn't even know that even existed because I was doing my, whatchamacallit? My Letterboxd. Yeah. And I was saying that I watched it, and then I pulled it up, and I pulled up another movie called Premonition, and it had all these low ratings. I'm like, I don't think this movie was bad. What is this? And I looked, and Sandra Bullock was on the cover, and it was some other movie. I'm like, oh, look at this. Well, was it a remake?
There's also, I forgot what movie it was in, but somebody's making a joke that they were watching 28 Days with Sandra Bullock, and they were waiting for the zombies to show up and kill everyone.
I remember 28 Days Later came out, and someone joked about it being the sequel to 28 Days with Sandra Bullock, and it was the best review ever. I can't remember a word of it. Search it on the line. When I'm on.
But I've seen it as a joke in another movie, in a comedy movie where somebody's they're watching and they're like, oh, is this one where Sandra Bullock fights all the zombies? I'm thinking that's really funny.
There you go. 28 Days.
Hope floats.
Shit floats. That's what I said. Let's see if shit floats. Anybody know a movie?
It Chapter 2.
No, not a bad guess though. Actually,
Shit Floats sounds like Midsommar.
Shit Floats sounds like Midsommar.
Brandon doesn't like that film, Dave.
Oh, let's not talk about it. Brandon doesn't like anything.
I do like things. I'm
The new
sorry.
Mikey.
I'm
You don't-
sorry. I do. I loved Us. I'm a big advocate for Us this year.
Oh, wow.
I
There
bought
you
the
go.
4K. I watched it again. I think I even liked it more the second time.
Well,
And
there you go.
I'll admit that
Spoiler.
watching that film. No, I'm not saying it's my number one. I mean, I've only seen 15 films this year, but I got a lot more to go. But I will
Okay.
say this: even watching a film like Us, I do realize that there's a lot of things left unexplained that you can kind of pick apart. But for some reason in that film, it doesn't bother me. Whereas in Midsommar, without getting into anything, I'm not going to say anything, you watch this 2 hour and 30-minute movie with a cut that's 3 hours long.
That might help you.
And at the end of the day, it's such a simplistic story that it almost feels like I say that he ripped off his own film. That he copied Hereditary.
Did say that before.
What? It's overly simplified, and everything that you have to research is like almost inconsequential.
I will say this. You're the only one that would buy the 4K of Us and watch it in a downgrade 1080p version.
What do you mean?
Oh, jeez. Don't start
I don't
that-
even know.
that conversation.
I did watch the Blu-ray and not the 4K.
What?
I only have a 4K player in my room, so I watch it downstairs on the big TV.
My dumb joke actually was reality.
Yeah, I only have a 4K player in my room. I don't collect 4K.
I was cracking the worst joke ever in the show's history, and it's actual truth.
I thought it wasn't even a joke. Well, I thought it was a joke, but I thought you were saying like
It was just a really badly timed, paced, delivery. Everything was off, and I had a premonition.
oh boy. I thought you were saying that it was a fake K, that it was an upscaled 4K. It wasn't real. Are you
Uh-oh.
talking about that whole situation?
4K talk.
Oh no!
4K talk.
Yeah,
I'm an advocate for 4K, but real 4K, from the native. You know what I mean?
I'm an advocate.
4K is
full
dead.
screen.
8K is.
I want to go back to full screen. I don't
Pan
care
and
what's
scan.
going on the left or right of you.
I want analog back.
Oh,
Anyway.
Mamma mia.
Well,
Oh, I gotta say something.
please do.
I want to say that we have 57 ratings on iTunes
Oh,
in the States, which, let's face it, that's where everything is for iTunes. It's
true.
No, I'm just saying we might have like 4 or 5.
oh yeah. I'll
Canadians
tell you
on it.
right now. Probably not that much.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? I didn't want to know. Probably less than 4 or 5. It's an embarrassment.
It's well, it definitely is embarrassment when 22 Shots has more reviews than us.
It is
In Canada.
They run Canada. It's a competition between you and Moods. Who's the more popular
Well,
Canadian?
and I'm losing.
podcast? Well, you don't have a YouTube page. Well, I mean, you do, but you're not established.
I got to
as
do
Moods.
some unboxings. Maybe I'll start doing my Friday the 13th caricature unboxings. That's what I'll fucking do.
Your YouTube page would do better if you took down your original content.
Yeah, who needs original content? I could just talk into the fucking camera. We got 10 ratings.
10.
10
Nice.
ratings.
Nice.
1 1-star,
Thanks,
2
Canada.
2 4-star, and 7 5-star.
Thanks, Canada.
Well, we always had
I
that
don't-
1 1-star. I don't know
That's
where that
Moods.
came
We
from.
know it's from Moods. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's from Moods or Jim K. One of the two. They're both.
Most of Jim K. Gave us 5-star reviewed us way back. Very informative, a great last. No, give me a prize already. Remember,
What's
and
Jim
then
K doing? Do you notice he's going through these franchises that have like 15 films in them?
He's out of his mind.
He's
that
going
kid.
through these crazy franchises.
he's
I've
been out in
never
the sun
heard
too
of.
long. He's out of
He
his
did like that
fucking mind.
1313 franchise, and now he was doing like the Rattle and Roll, Shake and Rattle.
Shake, rattle and roll.
It was something like that. I'd never heard of it, but he was like, I'm up to
He's the
part
honky tonk
13.
man.
However, the
I don't
last
know.
review was from 2 years ago. Exactly. What's today?
a
2 years
while.
ago tomorrow was our
Wow.
last review. That was from One Side at a Time. I kind of got hooked on these guys. I'd like to try a different show, and I've listened to a couple of others, but I always get buried to this one, and I'm always disappointed. I'll continue to try other shows, but this one's my bread and butter. We don't always
Boom.
agree, but I respect their opinions more often than not, and I find myself learning a thing or two, which can change my ratings from time to time. I wonder if he still listens.
I don't know. Thanks, Canada, though.
That's
10
One Side at a
ratings, though.
Time, Laughing
I'll
Horror,
take
and
it.
Jim in Toronto.
Laughing Horror. Yeah, right on. Thank you. That's Kyle.
Those are the 3 ratings we got in Canada.
What about 22 Shots? Do they have more?
They have many more.
Well, you know what? Moods must be talking to everybody he works with, everybody he has ever encountered.
17 ratings. 17 ratings. What did I say we had? 10?
Yeah.
17 ratings and 6 reviews. 7.
Okay.
Oh no, wait. More loaded up. Sorry.
That's okay.
Jim's got 2 of them. I gave them a review. I gave him 5 stars. I better change that rating.
Yeah, did he give you any stars?
No, the guy hasn't fucking even listened.
Son of a bitch move.
5 stars by Luciani Vision. Super cool. These guys know their stuff and are great to listen to. I'm a good bullshitter, I always look forward to the newest episode.
Yeah, well, I think you made that before Jeremy came back.
That was your funniest joke of the whole show.
Yeah, waka waka waka. 1080p. 11 customer reviews, 17 ratings. They're doing well.
We have 157 in the States where it really matters for us. That's just the way it is. They're bigger in the States. iTunes, Apple Podcast, whatever you want to call it. We really would like to get that up to 200 before episode 100. Maybe on episode 100 when we do it. That would be amazing. We have 200 reviews on episode 100. Let's make it happen. Guys listening, stop what you're doing. Just start an iTunes account and just rate it, man. Just get on there. And if you're listening, please subscribe. That does even more for us. Just subscribe. If you're listening just on Horrorphilia, that's fine, but subscribe on ours. It helps us up it's not going to give us more downloads because it doesn't work that way, but it will give us more notice, in the Apple world, etc. So maybe we can get 200 by episode 100. That would be awesome.
Oh, yeah, we rule in the States. Holy shit. I changed my country. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, in episode 100, should we say it or should we maybe wait?
They could tickle their tits a little bit.
Episode 100, we think we know what we're going to do. We think it's going to be pretty cool. We're going to have some people involved, although they don't know it yet. But we're going to have some patrons involved, and now you guys know that. And we have something special planned. We have finally figured out what we're going to do, and it's going to be something. And I don't know. Should we leave it at that?
Yeah, man, we should leave it at that. I just have to say one thing. I've never gone on to the I never even knew we had ratings for TJF 13 in the States.
What?
And I just realized that I've got 24 ratings in the States. None in Canada. Well, not enough in Canada to register. And in the States, I've got 24. 3 1-star reviews, 1 2-star review, 1 4-star review, and 19 5-star reviews.
Nice.
I guess the 3-star reviews, they either they don't like gays. That's the only thing I can think of.
That's it. They're yep. They don't like gays.
I don't like gays either, but Vince is great on the show.
Man, I love you.
What you say. People take shit the wrong way. Let me tell you.
I could say that. My father's gay.
Is he?
No.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe
I thought maybe there's a big awakening later.
Yeah, maybe he will.
I forgot where I heard that. Somebody said that once on like a TV show. I could make that joke. My father's gay. I think it was George in Seinfeld. I really do.
Oh man!
I got gay nephews. I have a couple gay cousins. I got lots of gays in my family.
I got gays. They're multiplying.
I got gays, and that's fine with me. But what I'm saying is, I think I'm allowed to joke about anything. My wife is black. Brandon is a good buddy of mine. He's Jewish. I have gays in my family. I'm Italian. I could joke about that. What can't I joke about? I don't know if I got handicapped people in my family or not. So I better lay off the wheelchair jokes. But
you know what you can always make fun of? Tourette's. Fuck shit, piss, fuck shit, piss, fuck shit, piss. It's funny.
It's true. How about this one?
You're like the Exorcist mother, all over. Yeah, has Tourette's?
No, she's passed away, unfortunately. My wife's mother passed years ago. No, it's okay. My wife's mother was mentally challenged, I guess is the word. I'll tell you what. My wife uses the term retard. There you go. Not in public. In the house with me.
Now in public.
Whatever.
On the show.
But not in a mean way.
Yeah,
It's like, you know what I mean? Yeah,
my
not in a
my best friend is a gay black retard, and he has Tourette's that comes out of his ass. So
how did we get here?
I don't know. And he's also part Mexican and part Puerto Rican.
And my wife speaks Spanish, so I mean, like, that must mean something. And she loves Mexicans because she's from New York. She's, I'm in New York. She's from California.
From New York.
Sorry. So she's real cool with the whole Mexicali thing.
I don't speak Spanish, but I listen fluently.
So yeah, bottom line is we joke about everybody. We bust each other's balls. We bust our own balls and whatever. If we ever say any comment, there's no hate behind it. It's all in fun. So I hope nobody ever thinks that we're,
unless we hate you.
Unless we hate you, but if we hate you, we'll have the balls to come out and say we hate you.
I don't really hate much.
I don't hate any. I don't like to use that word in my vocabulary because I'm just, I'm a peace lover.
He hates hate, people. He hates hate.
Yeah, I don't dig on the H word. Yeah, I really don't. I don't like to use it, and
H word.
It's a bad word.
Yeah.
It really is an evil thing.
I'll say anything but the H word.
It's a bad one, man.
He dropped an H-bomb.
Yeah.
I'm just an old school hippie when you get right down to it, and I just joke about everything. You know what I mean? So I do not mean to offend anybody ever. I just say lighten up. I mean, maybe that's closed-minded because I got into an argument on the Shockwaves page because I was like, JP said something about people that get offended about everything are funny. And then I said something, and I said we should start a new movement called the Scroll Past Movement. Because it's the same thing. Yeah, scroll past. Hashtag scroll past. If you just see something you don't like, just scroll past it. I mean, still, everybody's got something in their past and some shit that bugs them out. It's just like they say, if you don't like it, change the channel. It's the same shit. If you're on social media, you don't like what you see, scroll past. I mean, I can't ban clowns. How do you know that I wasn't ass-raped by a clown when I was a kid?
Yeah.
We don't know that. When I see a clown on a freaking on Facebook, who's to say it doesn't offend me? But guess what? Who am I to say, hey, that offends me? You know what? If I saw a clown, I just scroll by it if a clown raped me. That's how I look at it.
Down with the social justice warriors.
I don't even know where we go. I'm baffled on how we got to this point.
Absolute Dave. It's me. See what
Absolute
happens?
Dave. We never know how to end a show, as we always say.
Hashtag me boo-hoo movement. Okay, all right, that's it.
We're not those type of people. God. Oh, whew, I'm not making fun of nobody. Everybody, love everybody.
I'll just edit the last 20 minutes.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
See you guys later. Peace.
Peace out.